What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It's your boy, Adam Perez, back once again for our brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC television, and movie news, streaming live for you guys today. We got 6 incredible topics we're going to be diving into. Kevin Feige is talking up the X-Men in the MCU sooner than certainly expected. We got ourselves a little bit of a Captain America Brave New World preview for you guys. We're also going to be diving into the live-action trailer for How to Train Your Dragon and a ton more, ladies and gentlemen. So sit back, relax, enjoy your Sunday morning with us, and we'll see you on the other side. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, streaming live for you guys today over on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. It is fantastic to see everybody here once again, and I am not by myself. I got my boy, Stuart Branscombe, on board here today. What's going on, buddy? How you doing, man?
Hey, doing good. Now that my week is finally over, Wicked has been killing it at the box office at our theater. Yeah, a lot of big fans, like you can tell, of the Broadway because so much cheering going on, especially because I don't know if I should say this because it might be a little bit of a spoiler. I'll just say there's a cameo, and when that cameo happens, yeah, like the crowd goes completely insane. So
I wonder if it's anybody from the Broadway play or something like that. I don't know. I'm kind of curious as to who it might be now.
Yeah, you'll even if you don't recognize him, the audience that you watch it with definitely will. The moment you hear, huh?
No, go ahead. The moment you hear what?
Oh, the moment you hear the audience start like cheering from like two certain characters just randomly popping up and then leaving, that you'll know why.
I had a question. Oh, are you seeing anybody like come in dressed up in some sort of costumes or anything like that?
Lots of people, yeah.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's cool. That's exciting. I know we got Gladiator 2 out also currently this week. I'm hopefully, I am off this week. My little kiddo has a couple of doctor's appointments and dentist appointments. So hopefully in between all that, I might be able to navigate and catch one or both of these films. But Wicked is definitely at the top of my list, and I definitely want to see Gladiator 2. Have you been seeing a lot of screenings or good words on either of those movies?
You know, I haven't heard anything about Gladiator 2 because I've been mostly working in Theater 1, which is where we were playing Wicked. So I'm not sure, but I know that it's been selling pretty well in our smaller theater. Unfortunately, we weren't able to put it in Theater 1 because Wicked is selling way too much. If we, did that, it might risk us losing, money. Yeah. So, but I know that, audiences seem to be coming out of the movie Wicked with a very, very positive vibes, basically. It seems like, and again, I think that for the opening weekend, it's mostly people who've already seen the Broadway play. But yeah, most people that are leaving who, watched the play and loved it are absolutely loving the movies. So I guess I was wrong. I thought people were going to be disappointed by this because I kind of was when I heard that it wasn't going to be a complete movie, that it was only going to be like the first half of the play, and then the second half would premiere a couple years later. But I guess that didn't bother other people as much as it bothers me, because people are leaving the theater really seeming to love the movie so far.
Yeah, I mean, Rotten Tomato score has been out of this world for it. Cinema score came back. It was an A, I believe. I think Gladiator was chilling at a B also. So 2 great movies out there. So if you guys are looking to go ahead and check out a movie here on this holiday week, please go ahead and do yourselves a favor. I think there might be something else that's dropping this week also for Thanksgiving, but maybe I'm tripping. Maybe this is all we're getting right now. But yeah, guys, I'm looking forward to seeing both of these films. I've been hearing really great things about it, and I have been really excited for Wicked simply because of the fact that I haven't seen them I hadn't seen the Broadway show, and I've heard so many great things about it so far.
Wait, was it Sonic 3 that's coming out this next weekend?
Let me check my AMC stubs, because they're usually pretty good about keeping me up to date about what's in theaters or what's coming out. But I thought there was another movie that was dropping this Thanksgiving also, but maybe it was Wicked that I'm thinking of off the top of my head.
Because that was something that kind of disappointed me and a couple co-workers. We're not
Moana. Moana 2 drops this week.
Oh, that's right, Moana 2. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, bro, you're gonna be busy this week. I'm so
Oh
sorry,
my
Stuart.
gosh.
Because yeah, you're gonna have to deal with Wicked and Moana 2. Because yeah, Moana 2 is gonna explode. I can feel it already, man.
Definitely. I mean, like, look at how it's funny because, like, Inside Out 1, I don't think it even crossed $1 billion, but then Inside
Mhm.
Out 2 exploded at the box office. So I could definitely see that happening again with Moana, because I don't think Moana 1 crossed a billion, but I could see the sequel doing so.
Yeah, me too, man. It's gonna be a crazy week at the box office. So strap in, Stuart. Strap in. Drink
hmm
that coffee, man, or
Oh, I will
energy
need that
drinks.
coffee, definitely.
Before we continue, just so you guys know, my internet connection is up and down here today. So if I freeze or if it's a little janky, I do apologize. I am plugged in with my Ethernet, so it should be good to go. But let me make sure I'm also not using it on my phone too, and try and free up this internet as much as I can. But let's go ahead and give some shout outs to people that are joining us live. Look, again, at the end of the day, these are just simply our A+ opinions, but we always want to know yours. So if you are in the live chat, if you're watching us live today, feel free to chime in at any particular time. Leave a comment as we go through these topics. We'll certainly give you our perspective, but we definitely want to know yours as well. Do want to give some shout outs to people that are joining us live here today. Enrique, what's up, Enrique? Hey, Adam, just saw the official trailers of 2025 upcoming films, Pixar's Elio and Minecraft movie, and the Outcast trailer and of Mufasa, the Lion King. Yeah, Mufasa's going to be here this holiday season too, for around Christmas time. Also saw the official new poster for the live action Lilo and Stitch, and the trailer will be coming soon. Yeah, I haven't really been posting a lot of the posters for live action Lilo because it's literally just Lilo's face, like in different positions every time. Like there's nothing creative about it besides just showing a Lilo face. So I am hoping maybe once we get an official poster for Lilo and Stitch, it'll be something a little bit more creative. But yeah, I would expect a trailer to drop soon. Upcoming new SpongeBob stop motion holiday special. There was a trailer for one apparently.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. Stop
Yeah,
motion and SpongeBob.
Yeah, SpongeBob and Sandy's Country Christmas will air on Nickelodeon December 2nd for you SpongeBob fans.
It feels like every other week we're getting news of another SpongeBob special.
Right? Like Enrique's got like the front row seat for all the SpongeBob news, man. I don't know where he's getting it from, but he's always keeping us up to date. Ram Jam, what's up, Ram Jam? Got the chance to see Superman and Christopher Reeve story. I did see it up on the streaming service. I was thinking about jumping into it, but I'm knee deep into a Netflix documentary series called The Manhattan UFO Abduction because I'm a huge alien head. So once I'm done with that, I will be jumping into the Superman story for sure. Christina V is going to provide the voices of Kimberly for Power Rangers game Reader's Rewind. She portrays the Black Hyperforce Ranger in the Twitch RPG Power Rangers Hyperforce. Very cool. I think that's pretty badass. Darth Gutierrez, what's up, Darth? Good to see you in here, man. Thank you so much for certainly joining us today. Sonic 3 comes out December 20th. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's probably pretty close.
I thought it was this weekend. Also, okay, so I'm looking at the teaser for the SpongeBob and Sandy Christmas special, and it's so weird. I'm not sure if you remember this, but like back in the day, Nickelodeon used to do like Christmas bumpers like every year, and it was actually like kind of a Christmas tradition that I always look forward to during on Nickelodeon. Nice. But like in between shows, it would show like all these Nickelodeon characters in a stop motion. That's what the art style kind of reminds me of. It's like those old Nickelodeon bumpers like that they would do during the Christmas season.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. I'll have to check it out, man. I'm a big fan of stop motion, but yeah, I'll definitely have to check that one out. Let's see here. Any other news? I think that might. Oh, what you got?
Oh wait, never mind. I thought we were in honorable mention, so I'll wait for that.
yeah. Let's go ahead and jump into our first segment of the day, y'all. Let's go ahead and get this show started for y'all. Honorable mentions. For those of you new to the show, honorable mentions are just topics and things that jumped out to us throughout the week. Didn't quite make the cut for our top six, but certainly felt that you definitely deserve to still know about them. So, Stuart, you want to go ahead and kick us off with an honorable mention that you saw this week?
Yeah, so I technically I don't feel comfortable saying this is news. I want to leave it at rumors for now, but it seems like it's been soft confirmed that the Orville is getting a fourth season finally,
Oh,
which I'm
okay.
excited about. I only just recently started watching the Orville, I say recent, but it was actually probably at least a year ago. But I was surprised at how good it was, just because for me I was someone who used to like Family Guy back in the day, but fell off of it around season 5 or 6, and just it felt like it really just went downhill from there. So I just didn't expect anything from like a live action series from Seth MacFarlane,
Yeah.
especially because I didn't even think the other two Ted movies that were out at the time were that good. I thought Ted 1 was okay. So anyways, yeah, I watched the Orville just because my dad, who's a huge Star Trek fan, was recommending it to me. And I absolutely loved it. So now that I've seen all 3 seasons, I'm like, I need more. So now hearing that 4 seasons is in development, that gets me pretty excited.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting, man. That's pretty badass. I hope it. Yeah, I've heard some good things from Orville because I personally haven't watched it. Probably because I was just thinking to myself like, how good could this possibly be? But yeah, I have been surprised by a lot of the comments that I've seen surrounding the show. So yeah, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, man, that it comes through for you guys.
Definitely.
Let's see here. Other honorable mentions. Even though we got a Moana 2 that's dropping here next or this week, this upcoming week, they are also filming a Moana live action film. I believe it actually just went ahead and finished wrapping, but we did have some set photos that wind up emerging this week of Dwayne The Rock Johnson as Maui here. Some people were saying that this is a bodysuit for him. I don't know though. Maybe there's some other images that show off if it's a bodysuit or not, or if that's just incredible like attention to detail and like work that they did for putting all the the tattoos on him. I mean, The Rock is usually a pretty big guy, but I am kind of curious. Like, I don't know if this is truly him or not. Honestly, do you think this is a bodysuit? Because I think for me, when I see The Rock, even though he's already a huge guy, this guy looks like he's a little thicker than maybe even The Rock is. But maybe I'm tripping here.
I'd say it looks like a suit, not because like The Rock isn't big, but because I just don't remember his muscles being that defined. You know what I mean? But maybe maybe he's one of those actors that's willing to dehydrate himself in order to make his body like look completely different for these shots. But given that Maui is shirtless the entire movie, that I will say that's probably not the healthiest route to go. But who knows? Maybe Dwayne is just that passionate about this project.
Yeah, I mean, like looking at his arms, if you look at where his wrists are compared to where his like the gauntlets or whatever he's wearing, I mean, they do look significantly bigger than maybe the rest of his body. But I don't know. To me, it's crazy the idea of The Rock having to wear a bodysuit because he's already a huge dude. But
Yeah.
I mean, it could also be like I do wonder if he's like, look, I don't want to sit in a chair and have to do all this tattoo work for hours on end before we begin filming and have to do this every single day. So I am kind of curious, but regardless, I think especially in this shot, I think he looks great, man. I think he looks great. It'll be interesting to see what his performance is like when it comes to live action, though. Are you looking forward to a live action version of this in any way?
uh
It's kind of open to it, kind of
yeah,
hesitant.
exactly. I'm kind of neutral about it. Like I'll probably see it, but like I wouldn't say I'm hyped or anything.
Yeah, no, I totally get you there. We also wind up getting ourselves a first look at Alien Earth this week. They wind up dropping a brand new poster. We got ourselves an original series set to go ahead and drop summer of 2025 on Hulu. This is coming from the showrunner Noah Hawley, who wind up doing shows like Fargo and Legion and things like that. Now he's tackling Alien Earth, and they wind up giving us a brand new teaser trailer here this week. Did you check it out? It was really brief. I don't know if you saw it at all, though, Stuart.
I didn't know there was a new teaser, so no, I haven't.
All right, let's you know what? Let's do ourselves all a favor
Oh, yes, please.
And check this out. It's only like 30 seconds long, but let's see what they talk about here.
In 2120, Mother Earth is expecting.
So it said what, 2120? Is that what it said?
Yeah. So
Okay.
year 21. Not sure how far that is in the Alien timeline. I can't remember like specific dates, but I really hope it's after sometime after Alien 4. Just because it's like Aliens on Earth is something they've been teasing for a while now. So I mean, ever since Alien 3, like before they even had a script, they had a teaser for that movie, and the teaser literally was the aliens are now coming to Earth. And then of course the movie came out and it wasn't anything like that. So it's like, yes, give us finally aliens on Earth.
Yeah, they also dropped some new details about the show after the trailer. I'll read this to you guys. This is from deadline.com. So again, let me just so people know what we're talking about here. Alien Earth. This is the new details. This is from Noah Hawley. Alien Earth is set in the year 2120. When a mysterious space vessel crash lands on Earth, a young woman and a ragtag group of tactical soldiers make a fateful discovery that puts them face to face with the planet's greatest threat in the sci-fi series Alien Earth. As members of the crash recovery crew search for survivors among the wreckage, they encounter mysterious predatory life forms more terrifying than they could have ever imagined. With this new threat unlocked, the search crew must fight for survival, and what they choose to do with this discovery could change planet Earth as they know it. He did tell Noah Hawley did say in September, there's something about seeing a xenomorph in the wilds of Earth with your own eyes that is truly chilling to think of it moving here among us. And so I can't tell you under what circumstances you'll see that, but you'll see it. You're going to lock your doors that night. There are something that tells me that this was set to be before the first Alien movie, if I'm not mistaken. I might have to do a quick Google search in regards to that, though. Let me see.
If that is the case, slightly disappointing. Not that I think it's going to be bad, but I just think that it kind of limits what can possibly happen in the show, because now okay, if the aliens are on Earth, it's somehow going to get contained by the end of it, because obviously in the movie Alien, no one knows about the xenomorph, so obviously this can't be something that like gets spread to the public or anything like that.
Yeah, it says it will take place after Prometheus and Alien Covenant. But since it takes place 2120, means that it actually takes place only 2 years before the events of Scott's original Alien film, and more than 20 years before Alien Romulus. So yeah, about two years beforehand. So if anything, I am curious as to like, how does this threat get resolved? How do you keep this from the general public on Earth? Yeah, I am kind of curious as to how he fits this into the timeline of the first Alien movie for sure.
Yeah.
What else do we got here? Oh, we did get ourselves our very first look at the upcoming Frankenstein movie.
Ooh.
One of the things that I have been seeing a lot of, Stuart, is that some of the people that have seen this image, one, they've absolutely loved it, but some people have mistaken this for like a video game at first.
I can kind of see why, because the Frankenstein monster on the left for some reason looks CG, and I can't figure out why.
Yeah, he says, somebody in the comments said, legit thought this was a scene from a video game. Looks awesome. Yeah. Guillermo del Toro did make a comment in Vanity Fair. He says, Gothic romance was born partially out of the fascination with ruins. Sometimes they're more beautiful than the building complete, because it's the clash of creation and destruction. So I'm assuming he's talking about the setting in which this movie takes place. He's got his love for his Gothic romance scenery for sure.
Definitely.
Del Toro really dives into that stuff.
Oh man, so this is a Del Toro directed Frankenstein movie. That's awesome. Okay, yeah, I'm hyped for sure.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this. And then last but not least, before we get into the main topics, one last thing. Paradise Lost was in the news this week. You know, James Gunn has been making his rounds promoting Creature Commandos. If you guys didn't check it out on our YouTube page, we did drop a reaction video to an interview that James Gunn wind up having discussing Creature Commandos, but he also talks about some of the upcoming projects to look forward to. But on Threads this week, Gunn shared some thoughts about how the DCU will address origin stories, specifically for the characters Batman and Superman. And he wrote, "I'm not telling Batman and Superman origin stories again because everyone knows them." He did say, he later clarified that he's strictly talking about Batman and Superman, meaning other DCU projects could include origin stories for lesser known characters. When asked about whether or not he believes general audiences know Wonder Woman's canonical origin, he said, "Not as many people do, also because she's had various origin stories." One of the projects that was announced was Paradise Lost, which will be a political drama set in Themyscira before the birth of Wonder Woman. And he says, while there hasn't been much news about Paradise Lost, Gunn did confirm the series is currently in very active development. No casting information regarding the series has been publicly revealed at this time, and no premiere date is in fact set. But very active development sounds encouraging to me, at least. Feels like it's further
Definitely.
along than I think we probably expected it to be.
Yeah. And I think the only reason release dates or anything hasn't been announced is because like I don't know, just the interviews I've been hearing with James Gunn talking about the process of how he's going to be making these movies. It sounds like, yeah, he's not going to go forward on casting or anything until he's confident with the script. So I assume like for right now, they're still like trying to come up with a good enough script that's, good for James Gunn. And then one that they know that they can actually pitch to HBO Max. So it'll get picked up. So I definitely see why there hasn't been any word about it, but it's cool to know that it's still being in development. It hasn't been forgotten about.
Yeah, I appreciate the update, because that is a project that I am really looking forward to. But yeah, I really have enjoyed the way that he's handled DC Studios so far in regards to his patience, in regards to announcing things maybe too early, or letting things kind of slip. I think he's been really good about keeping things really very close to the vest until things are ready to be announced. So I totally agree with you there.
Yeah, I think Lucasfilm could definitely learn a thing or two from James Gunn.
Yeah, amen to that, brother, for sure, bro, for sure. All right. With the honorable mentions out of the way. Oh, you know what? There was one more honorable mention I wanted to bring up real quick. Star Wars did drop some brand new information here this week, letting us know that a volume 3 of Star Wars Visions
Oh,
is
yes.
is on the way. I meant to bring that up. It is set to return in 2025. They do have some returning studios, perhaps maybe continuing some of the stories of some of the characters that they set up for us, but they do have some brand new animation studios as well. So yeah, really looking forward to it. No release date as of yet, but they did say you can certainly expect it come 2025. So that's exciting.
I love this pattern we've been having where it's like 1 year we get Tales of the Jedi, the next year we get Star Wars Vision, then we go to Tales of the or what was it, Tales of the Sith or the Empire, I forget. And now we get Star Wars Vision season 2, and now we got season 3. So it's only a matter of time till next year when we get Tales of, I don't know, season 3.
Yeah, I was wondering how they're gonna do that. If we're gonna get Tales of something different, or if it'll be a mixed bag, or like, do we go back to Jedi? Do we go back to Sith? I am kind of curious what direction they go from here. Maybe it's like
I wouldn't be opposed
Tales
to
of the Droids or something.
Oh my gosh, Tales of the Droids would be great. I was also thinking because we had that really cool scene with the senator in Star Wars Acolyte where he gives like a very human perspective of the Jedi. So just like have it be Tales of the non-force sensitive.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some maybe some bounty hunter stories in there. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if we get a third season out of that for sure. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to some of the honorable mentions we discussed. But Stuart, are you ready to go ahead and get into our main topics today, man?
Always.
Let's do this. First up, as you guys saw on our main thumbnail today, we got some incredible topics we're going to be breaking down for you guys. First up, of course, is going to be X-Men. Kevin Feige, over the past several weeks, have been doing some things at recent conventions, hyping up the future of the MCU and certainly what it's going to look like, since we seemingly have sort of the last stretch of the multiverse saga in our sights here within the next year or two. But he continues to push the mutant agenda, as the X-Men are in fact back in the news, as he gives us his perspective on when we can certainly get the opportunity to see them. For those of you who have not been paying attention to the MCU films, we have, or even television series, we have had the name of mutant dropped towards the very end of the Miss Marvel series, kind of hinting at the idea that she certainly has some level of mutation in her. And then, if you guys recall, the Marvels film, in the post-credit scene, for those of you who haven't seen it, I'll put up the spoiler warning real quick, even though the movie's been out forever. You should have checked it out for yourselves. But they do hint at, or I don't want to say hint at, they literally show you the Beast in the end credit scene as well. And so there's definitely a lot of moving pieces certainly going on behind the scenes, and the X-Men are going to be here a lot sooner than I think a lot of us expect, Stuart. So let's go ahead and dive into this and talk about the X-Men joining the MCU. This is an article that dropped last week. We're going to go over two articles real quick. This is an article that did drop last week. I didn't go ahead and highlight it on the show because I was going to wait and see if Kevin Feige talked about it a little bit more, and he certainly did this week. So this is last week's article that I think we're going to be diving into, from comicbook.com, saying X-Men will be important to the MCU, says Kevin Feige, but not for a while. According to Kevin Feige, the iconic team and characters have a big role in the franchise's future, but it sounds like it might not be seeing them until after Secret Wars. Let me go ahead and bring up this article for you guys as we dive into it. It says, when we were preparing for Avengers Endgame years ago, it was a matter of getting to the grand finale of our narrative. And then we had to start all over again after that. This time, heading into Secret Wars, we already know very well what the story is going to be up until then and after that. The X-Men are an important part of the future. With Secret Wars not hitting theaters until 2027, it's likely to be a few years before the X-Men get their time to shine, but that's assuming the current MCU release schedule holds. However, Feige's update may not push the MCU X-Men too further than fans already have suspected. In October, it was announced that there were 3 new movie projects on the release schedule for 2028, one in February, one in May, and one in November. So remember, we've got Secret Wars that I would assume is dropping that summer of 2027. So 2028, we already have 3 untitled films holding spots for Marvel Studios, one in February, one in May, and one in November. Since that number of movies is very largely matched what fans have come to expect from the MCU, many speculate that one of those dates could be reserved for the X-Men. So yeah, we'll definitely have to wait and see. But yeah, he does say that they're going to have a big future ahead when it comes to the X-Men in the MCU. And then just this week also, Stuart, he had a couple of other things to certainly say. I think he was at another convention. This is Marvel boss Kevin Feige. He talks about Fantastic Four wrapping, X-Men, and Goosebumps. We're not going to talk about all that stuff, but it says Feige had a live virtual appearance at the opening of Disney's APEC content showcase held in Singapore. He says, finally, we're bringing Marvel's first family into the MCU, talking about Fantastic Four. They wrap next week. The movie comes out next summer. So yeah, they're getting ready to go ahead and wrap up Fantastic Four here. I would assume this Thanksgiving week, and then on to post-production for its July release. It says they wrap next week and the movie comes out next summer, and then all those characters go right into the next Avengers movie. So I'm very excited for the future of the Fantastic Four. So Fantastic Four will be appearing in Doomsday also. So that should be really exciting for people.
Definitely.
And then he says, on bringing the X-Men into the MCU, Kevin Feige says, I think you will see that continues in our next few movies with some X-Men players that you might recognize. After that, the whole story of Secret War really leads us into a new age of mutants and of the X-Men. Again, it's one of those dreams come true. We finally have the X-Men back. So yeah, he teases on bringing the X-Men into the MCU. I think you will see that continue in our next few movies with some X-Men players that you might recognize that. And then he talks about right after that, the whole story of Secret Wars really leads us into a new age of mutants and of the X-Men. So I think there's a lot to kind of decode just from that one comment, Stuart. According to Kevin Feige, it sounds like we may get some cameos of the X-Men in some of these upcoming films. I mean, we've got Captain America 4, we've got Thunderbolts, and then we've got Fantastic Four before we even get into something like a Doctor Doom or Avengers Doomsday. I think we're supposed to have Spider-Man 4 that drops in between there, and then getting us into 2027 with Secret Wars. We have seen X-Men characters pop up in the Marvels, so they have made appearances in the MCU. I guess the big question is going to be, where can we expect to see them next? And really, where we would like to see these characters go from here, Stuart? Do you want to tackle this first? Any ideas what he might be referring to here?
Yeah, so I think personally that we are going to be getting some more X-Men, not necessarily in the upcoming solo movies. So I wouldn't expect any X-Men characters in Captain America or not even the Thunderbolts. I mean, maybe Thunderbolts. I could see like I could see like a character from that like side of the Marvel like that's related to the X-Men appearing, but I don't think they're going to be necessarily like a mutant or anything, but I could be wrong there. But anyways, all that to be said, I think what they're really building up to is with Doomsday and Secret Wars. That's when we're going to be seeing a lot of them get like introduced, but not necessarily the MCU versions of these characters. We're going to be seeing like actors kind of reprising their roles from different X-Men movies. That's my prediction. Which ones we're going to get, I guess only time will tell. But I say that only because of the way they ended the Marvels when we had Kelsey Grammer reprising his role as Beast. And I think that's kind of the route that they want to go, especially looking at Deadpool and Wolverine. Until that is Secret Wars ends. I think that Secret Wars will be kind of the final send-off to all these characters.
Stuart's connection might have dropped there. Okay, well, maybe hopefully Stuart will come back to us. He was kind of freezing there for a little bit. So in the meantime, while Stuart drops out, I'll definitely go ahead and give my thoughts on this as well. And then I'll have him come back and refresh his thoughts on that for you guys also. I am really intrigued in regards to seeing where the future of the MCU is going to go. As far as I will give my thoughts first on where I would like to personally see them go, especially after Secret Wars. When I think of like comic books and things like that, after the No More Mutants and House of M stuff, if I'm not mistaken, I think we wind up getting sort of like the Age of Apocalypse sort of big storyline. And I believe after they wrapped up that storyline is when we wind up getting things like a Heroes Reborn, where you've got like Rob Liefeld on Captain America, Jim Lee on Fantastic Four, and other big. I can't remember who handled the Avengers when they wind up coming back from the Avengers from the Heroes Reborn storyline. But there is a part of me that kind of would like to see after something like Secret Wars, really the MCU completely changed kind of going forward. I don't I think this would be a really good opportunity for them to sort of get a new reboot and sort of a fresh start right after something like Secret Wars. So even though we've got like 3 movies that are in 2028, I don't think all of 2028 is going to be X-Men movies, but there is kind of a part of me that would like to kind of see a very mutant heavy sort of rollout of films to kind of give films like Avengers, um Spider-Man, Captain America, like maybe give them a little bit of a break, for maybe like a year or two or whatever the case may be before kind of bringing them back. There is a little bit of sort of like, and I've said this before, there is sort of like I've been really craving an Age of Apocalypse storyline, man. And there's just something about how Secret Wars could potentially end that could potentially end that makes me really want to see just a brand new world kind of created out of all of this and us thrusted into sort of like an Age of Apocalypse storyline. But maybe that's just me getting ahead of myself. One of the things I have always been fascinated is when we do get the opportunity to see the X-Men for the first time, what is that going to be like? There's a prediction that I had, like a theory that I had years ago, when they talked about the idea of turning the Scarlet Witch into a villain and the introduction of the X-Men. And there was a part of me that really wanted to kind of see them go back to even say a very classic retelling of the X-Men, the idea before they're fully embracing their mutant powers, right? So I'm talking the original rollout of Beast, when he's human just with big feet, or you've got Angel with actual angel wings, before the mutations really kind of begin. So Kevin Feige has always said, when we get the opportunity to see the X-Men, the X-Men are going to be very different than what you've kind of seen them as before. And so I really would like to see Kevin Feige take some risks in regards to how do you roll out brand new X-Men films in ways that we haven't quite seen them before. Will you go the route of classic X-Men? Will you go the route of 90s Jim Lee X-Men, even though they've been really heavily featured in something like X-Men 97? Do you just turn that into live action stuff, or do you go more giant size X-Men time period of the X-Men series, or Age of Apocalypse? There's just so many different routes that Kevin Feige can certainly go, and I hope he gives us something that we haven't quite seen on the big screen before. So as far as like where we would go after Secret Wars, those are some of the things that I personally would like to see their own adaptions on something like Age of Apocalypse, a more original X-Men storyline. But Stuart, I do want to come back to you because you were talking about the idea of like how you think some of these characters may potentially pop up in the MCU. And you were frozen last time a little bit. So I do want you to kind of go over if they were to pop up in any of these movies before we get to like their own official film, where do you think they might pop up at?
No idea where I got cut off, but basically I was saying I think that we'll see familiar actors reprising their roles as X-Men in upcoming Avengers movies such as Doomsday and Secret Wars. But then after Secret Wars, my prediction is that the future, it's going to be a completely new cast of characters. I don't know how they'll be introduced. If I were Kevin Feige, after like kind of the after assuming the Secret Wars comes out and it gets like, really high praise, I would want an X-Men movie to be the next thing to get people hyped up for the next phase of Marvel movies. So if I were a betting man, I would say probably it'll be like one of the first movies we see in phase 7 of Marvel. Yeah, I think we should stop calling them phases at this point and just start calling them by their sagas. So like by the time this saga ends, they'll probably show up at the beginning of the next saga. That would be my prediction.
I like it. I like it. Looking at 2028, one of the things that I said before you came back on is there's a part of me that person would really like 2028 to, even though we got 3 films, I kind of would like them to all be X-Men related films. Like give me an X-Men movie, then maybe give me like a Wolverine movie, and then maybe give me another solo or group film like an X-Force film or like a X Factor or New Mutants again or whatever the case may be, to kind of really establish the new MCU. Because I don't know, let me know how you feel about this. I mean, we've been with a lot of these characters for such a long time. And while, yes, there's like so much more story to certainly be told, especially when you start talking about the younger actors in here, right? Like the Kate Bishops and the Miss Marvels and stuff. Is there a world, do you think, that we live in where we get, I don't want to say one whole phase without them, but like just minimal appearances with of these characters? Or do you think it'll be like fully X-Men heavy, with like no MCU characters for a while to kind of give them a little bit of a break? Or do you think the MCU will still try and juggle them in some way?
I think they'll be juggled in the same way Marvel currently juggles their more down to earth superheroes and their cosmic superheroes. So like the same. So I think it'll be like it'll be kind of like that for every like X-Men movie we get, we'll get one that's like also focused on one of the younger, newer actors that we've introduced into the MCU. Kind of like how with what Marvel currently does. For every Guardians of the Galaxy, we then also will get a movie like Captain America 4, which is more espionage-esque. Although I guess this time they're adding a little more fantastical elements with Red Hulk and all that. But you know what I mean. How they'll do kind of like cosmic and then kind of more grounded. I think it'll be like that with X-Men and the original cast. We'll have X-Men and then or by original cast, you know what I mean, like some of the younger, newer casts afterwards.
Yeah, I did hear a rumor online that something like a Young Avengers film that I think a lot of us were kind of thinking or expecting that we might get might be transformed into something like a series on Disney Plus. And I did believe I heard Kevin Feige or somebody mention here the past couple of weeks that the idea of coming back, like renewing shows for multiple series, is something that they are kind of exploring. They kind of did that with Loki. They did that a little bit with What If, but like Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a one-off. WandaVision was a one-off, even though you can say Agatha All Along is kind of like a quasi sequel. Miss Marvel so far has been just one season. Moon Knight has just been one season, right? So they feel very limited series kind of at this point. Would you be open to them then maybe possibly doing more mutant movies and then some of the other characters, in the sense of taking a break from the big screen, maybe those things being turned into more television series?
Yeah, actually, I kind of like that idea. In fact, honestly, I wouldn't mind if instead of getting a sorry, instead of getting like a Miss Marvel season 2 and instead of getting like a Hawkeye season 2, rather just take those characters, give them a new show, Young Avengers, one that can actually go on multiple seasons. And plus, like if it's a team show, the benefits you have with it being a team show that takes place in a comic book universe, you don't have to worry so much if like every actor can't be on set every day, because there are definitely ways you could write characters out of an episode. Be like just like in the comic books, you could have like a big threat, and then like let's say the actress that like plays Hawkeye is currently not around. They could easily be like, oh, Kate Bishop can't help with this because she's busy in New York with something like this. So I feel like a team show would probably be the best route. Plus you give there's ways you can develop characters in TV shows that you just can't pull off in movies because you get to spend more time with them. And I think because of how I want to say most of them feel pretty underdeveloped, with probably the exception being Miss Marvel herself. But I think that when it comes to Kate Bishop and when it comes to I forgot her name, but Scott Lang's daughter, I feel like they're still a bit underdeveloped at the moment. And I think like the better way to flesh those kind of characters out would be through a television series, like a team show, honestly. And especially because it gives the actors chances to play off of each other, and then, opens up the potential for some good chemistry and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's a great route, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. And I only really ask that because now that we do have the Fantastic Four, and now that we do have mutants kind of coming on board, the balance that Marvel Studios is now going to have of what do we bring to big screen, what do we bring to
Yeah.
television, who gets a movie, who doesn't, right? Like all that is up in the air. And so it's like, when do we get a Black Panther 3? Like, when are you going to put that in there? When's our Shang-Chi sequel happening, right? Having to plan all that out and how you balance all these new characters now that you got an influx. People are going to want a Fantastic Four sequel. People are going to want multiple X-Men movies. So it's like, how do you go about connecting these worlds or deconnecting them, sort of thing? Like, I will be really intrigued to kind of see how this winds up playing out. As for some of my predictions as to where I think we could see some of the X-Men pop up in, there is a part of me that I do find it fascinating that you say that maybe having some of the actors that we've already seen play these characters reprise their role until they are really ready to give us sort of like a full reboot of characters once again after Secret Wars when it comes to mutants. So like, I don't know why. There's a part of me, I don't know if we'd see anybody in something like a Captain America 4. Like, I'm trying to figure out where they would fit into. I can almost see maybe somebody popping up in Thunderbolts, like maybe like a name drop of like a William Stryker or something like that. Getting into Fantastic Four. I think Fantastic Four, you might have an opportunity because of the fact that it's already in an alternate Earth taking place during the 60s. Maybe we do have a Hank McCoy in there that's human with big feet, and maybe he's worked alongside with somebody like a Reed Richards. Like, maybe they have their own X-Men team in their world that they come from, and they're legit like the classic X-Men style that I was asking to see. Like, maybe it's just a futuristic 60s version of the X-Men. So I would like to see them kind of play it up. So I would say I don't expect anybody in Captain America 4, but maybe Thunderbolts, we get an interesting name drop. And I could see them popping up also in Fantastic Four, sort of as a teaser, because it's a sort of an alternate world.
I didn't think of that, but yeah, you're totally right. I think that like Fantastic Four would be an excellent opportunity to introduce some like mutant characters, and plus, of course, like you mentioned, it being an alternate world, what's great is that they can kind of be experimental with it. They can try something new with it to see like what audiences like, what audiences don't like, and then when they bring them back for like the full MCU reboot of the X-Men, they have plenty of notes to go on, because you got the X-Men animated series, and then you also got like the X-Men that I assume we're going to be getting in Doomsday and Secret Wars. So I think that they're at like, because it's obvious that Secret Wars is going to reboot the MCU for the most part. I think that they're right now at that perfect stage where they can test out, see, whether or not fans want them to play it safe with the mutants, whether or not fans want them to take risks with the mutants. They have this opportunity before they get to their first like official MCU X-Men movie to like see what audiences want. So from a business perspective, I think, yeah, there's a lot of opportunities for them.
And from a story perspective, it is something like I would find it really fascinating just to have somebody like a Reed Richards have experienced some of these characters, because we've talked about, especially with the idea of the Herald of Galactus as the female Silver Surfer. Like, there is something really cool about the idea of like, okay, so let's say on Reed Richards' Earth, they've seen a female Silver Surfer and they've seen the X-Men, but in a completely different form. And then you bring those characters over into our MCU world and mixing everything. Like, just somebody as knowledgeable as Reed Richards, I think, would find it so fascinating if he knew a Hank McCoy as a human and then he meets him as the Beast, or he then sees a different Silver Surfer in Norrin Rad, sort of thing. Like, I just think it would be really cool from a different perspective of somebody that comes from a futuristic 60s into our world and seeing the different changes. And I think that would be really fun for a character like Reed Richards to really sink his teeth into.
Definitely. And then, yeah, it also gives them opportunities to try different actors, see if any of them like are up for the role. Personally, though, I think that if we do that, I would not be opposed to seeing Kelsey Grammer reprise his role as Beast again. Like, getting to see him also outside the costume would be kind of cool too.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool also. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. Look, Kevin Feige hints at the idea that we may be seeing some X-Men characters pop up even before we get into something like a Secret Wars. What do you think the possibilities are? Where do you think some of these characters will pop up at? And also, going forward after Secret Wars, what version of the X-Men would you guys really want to see kind of brought to the big screen? There's just so many classic tales of X-Men throughout history. Where would you personally like to see Kevin Feige certainly start off at with these mutants after Secret Wars? Certainly go ahead and let us know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below.
Yeah.
And with that out of the way, we will transition over to our next topic as Captain America 4 or Brave New World is certainly back in the news, ladies and gentlemen. We're ramping up. This film is set to go ahead and drop February of next year. It surprises me, Stuart. Like the idea of this film coming out in February, I think really surprises me simply because of the fact that it's literally like what? 3 months away. Like it just feels like it's creeping up on me a lot quicker than I personally expected. And so the more and more I see of this, Stuart, I'm not going to lie, I am getting a little bit more excited. There are elements of sort of the classic Captain America story, much more grounded, turning into kind of like a political thriller. There's a part of me that even wants to go ahead and rewatch something like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, just to go ahead and get prepared for not only the characters that are going to pop up in something like a Captain America 4, but even Thunderbolts as well. And so this week, we do have ourselves a fantastic sort of preview for what we can certainly expect when it comes to Captain America 4. And I thought it'd be worthwhile to go ahead and dive in as we got ourselves some brand new details and even some brand new first look images. So let's go ahead and dive into this, Stuart. First up, we do have a first look. We got a brand new look, I should say, from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This comes to us from Empire Magazine. I think this is like our very first official image of Joaquin Torres as Falcon, or at least in his Falcon suit. I think we might have seen it in like some McDonald toy feature pictures or something like that, or pop figures. But I think this might be the first time that we actually get to see him in his full-on Falcon suit, and we have our brand new iteration here, Stuart, of Captain America and the Falcon. What do you think from just a first look?
Badass,
right? I love the design of it. I would assume the color scheme comes from his comic book counterpart, which is I think gold and green. A little bit when I look at it, sometimes I think it's a little bit influenced from like Vulture, like the Vulture color scheme or something like that. So I am kind of curious, but I love the suit designs in here, and it confirms to me once again, Anthony Mackie will in fact have multiple Captain America suits in here. We've seen him with the white and blue in the trailer, and now this looks more like his more grounded sort of espionage suit, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Which, yeah, if I remember correctly, that's actually similar to what we had in Captain America 2, because we had, an espionage Captain America suit in the very beginning of it, and then he kind of like switched back to his more classic uniform by the end. So, yeah, that I like how every time I watch this trailer, I just start to notice more and more parallels between this movie and Winter Soldier.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've been saying that they're going to be going back to the drawing board here and make it feel like a Captain America movie. So I'm fascinated. But let's go ahead and dive into a couple of articles here. This is from Empire Magazine. Captain America and Falcon's brotherhood is one of the key emotional centers of Brave New World. It says every good hero needs a wingman, and as the Falcon, Sam Wilson was there to provide for Steve Rogers, Captain America. Now with Wilson stepping up as the new Cap, he's got a wingman of his own. As introduced in Falcon and Winter Soldier on Disney Plus, Wilson's brand spanking new Star Spangled Cap has Falcon of his own. Danny Ramirez's Joaquin Torres strapping on his own set of high-tech soaring gear to fight for justice. While the prospect of two flying heroes brings much opportunity for big screen spectacle, it'll also provide some heart in a Marvel movie aiming for a political thriller intrigue. They go on to say, the director says, there's this incredible big brother, little brother dynamic between them. It's going to be one of the key emotional centers of the film. As they prepare to face all kinds of subterfuge, Sam and Joaquin will need to have each other's backs, and by all accounts, they're ready to step it up when the action comes calling. These guys are incredible fighters, and Sam has been there and back. He's got some tricks up his sleeve, and over the course of the film, there are things he comes to learn that becomes other tools in his arsenal when he's facing even the most impossible of threats. In other words, he could do this all day. I love it. I love it, man. Especially for a Captain America that don't got no super soldier serum. I am fascinated to see how he's gonna explore this. But the idea of their relationship, Stuart, being one of the key emotional centers, how important do you think that is to the movie? How much of it do you think we're gonna get? How do you feel about them getting some time to shine together?
That's cool because we didn't really get to see much chemistry between the two of them in the TV show Falcon the Winter Soldier. We got a little bit between them. Like it's clear that the new Falcon really respects the new Captain America, but like besides that, we don't know how they met or anything. So I would definitely not be opposed to if they get like a flashback of how they met and something like along those lines. But yeah, definitely if you're gonna have a new dynamic duo, you definitely want to make sure that the chemistry is there. So I definitely look forward to seeing how that plays out.
Yeah, for me, my interest also comes from the action portion of this and what it's going to look like. I mean, if you recall the opening sequence or one of the opening sequences for Falcon and Winter Soldier, it was Sam Wilson as Falcon, like soaring through the skies, almost doing like dog fights in the air, cutting through helicopters and stuff. I mean, curving around mountains and whatever the case may be. Like, I really want to see that just now twofold with the both of them. Like, what is their teamwork like? What kind of cool aerial moves are they going to do together to go ahead and take down the enemy? I think from an action perspective, not only are we going to get great hand-to-hand combat and fights, but now you also add a different dynamic that the other Captain America movies didn't have, and that's very much sort of like like fighter jet action in the sky, sort of like dog fights, if you will. And so I am really kind of curious to see what their dynamic is going to be like on screen. And if anything, I do think that this does give them the opportunity to kind of reaffirm the importance of a Captain America and Falcon relationship. We did have moments in things like Civil War and especially Falcon and the Winter Soldier of Captain America really relying on Sam. I don't want to say to necessarily bring him back to Earth or whatever the case may be, but to I think Sam with his therapy and helping out veterans and things like that, I think was a really grounding point for somebody like a Steve Rogers who was a veteran himself. And I am kind of curious to see like what two military men who are clearly still in active duty in some capacity, like what do they talk about? Like what are some of their concerns when it comes to the military and how veterans are treated? Or like I just hope that they really tackle grounded societal issues when it comes to things like that for the Army from their particular perspective. You know what I mean? And I think this would be a really good opportunity for that.
Definitely. It would actually be, man, if they did something like that, it would be kind of a cool opportunity to, if you were going to bring in any TV character into this show, to bring in a character like Frank Castle, because that was definitely like, because two ways that would be actually really relevant to the story is, him being a veteran, of course, and then also, clearly having like, a bunch of PTSD and other like, issues as well. So it'd be kind of cool if they had a cameo with that, if they have like a meeting going on, like if he's still hosting those. The other thing too is that like the one of the very, very, very few people that Frank Castle like actually respects is Captain America. So this would be kind of a cool way to, even if it's not the Steve Rogers Captain America, it would be kind of cool to see that same respect like in this movie that he shares for him in the comic books.
That would be pretty cool if he does have a cameo and nobody knows about it. That would be pretty bananas. I would love to see something like that and just continue to explore the idea of just this connective world now that we're getting the Netflix characters back. I think that would be pretty neat. Like maybe we get a brief scene of like him going into his counseling session and Frank Castle is sitting in there amongst a group of other people. I think that'd be really cool and really exciting to see.
That would be funny too if he like spoke and then someone like, they do the MCU humor of wait, aren't you like wanted or something?
Yeah, right. Yeah, but I can also see Sam Wilson keeping that quiet though. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see what happens here. But
no, not like from Sam Wilson, but I'm thinking if it's like a group meeting, just like one of the random like extras would be like, hey, aren't you like wanted? Didn't you kill a bunch of people?
Yeah, he's getting a ton of side glances for sure. We also have another article here. Anthony Mackie discussing Brave New World along with some of his favorite MCU characters. He was also, I guess, at APAC showcase in Singapore, talking a little bit about it as well. He did talk about the idea of the passing of the torch moment, if you will. He says on that day, Evans passed him the last 2 pages of Avengers Endgame screenplay, which revealed the plan. And he said, when I read it, we just hugged each other and jumped around in a circle. That's what Anthony Mackie said. He said, when we asked about how Wilson will handle the mantle of Captain America in the new film, which releases February 14th, 2025, he says, Sam's evolution is simple. He's still a counselor. He's still serving soldiers. But at the same time, now he's a leader of his community in the country. Mackie also pointed out that Wilson is a different kind of Captain America in the upcoming film. He says it's very different with the serum. You can fight anybody. When you don't have the serum, you have to be smart and engineer different ways of defeating enemies. With Sam, him being a counselor, he uses more of his brains than brawn. He uses more of his wit than his fists. He's more of a friend to everyone. Mackie said that he only started reading Marvel Comics after being cast as a Falcon. He says, yeah, I've never really read a lot of comic books, but he says, I like to watch everything. He says, like Tom and Jerry and Teen Titans. And he says, go online and search the Booty Scooty episode. It's amazing. So yeah, he loves some Teen Titans. But he said, yeah, when I got cast as Falcon, I went and I brought like 50 to 60 different comic books from the original Falcon all the way up to the new ones that have come out. So he's definitely done his study. And then Mackie also highlighted that the unique aspect of Captain America films is that it's realistic world compared to the other Marvels. He says, if you look at these Marvel movies, they go with different genres. You have the fantasy world, you have the space world, you have a raccoon world. I love Anthony Mackie, man. I love the way he just delivers lines all the time. He's such a fool, man. With the Captain America stories, it's always been the realistic grounding world. This movie stays in line with the original Captain America, of that thrill, of that espionage, of that grounded nature with storytelling, and really investing the actual audience in the story. He says, commenting on his new outfit, it's a high-tech suit. He says, I went to Wakanda, met with everybody in Wakanda. We had dinner. It was a great time. They threw me a welcome party. It was dope. He says, but then when I was leaving, they gave me a suit, right? I put it on. I can kick harder. I can fly faster. And it gives me the ability to be more agile in my skills. So it's taken all of my skills to a completely different level. So it's almost like screw the serum at this point, bro. Like I got me a Wakandan Captain America suit that just heightens my abilities to do a lot more than what I was capable of. But I love when Anthony Mackie talks like this, because it's almost like he's not even talking from an actor's perspective. He's literally talking from a Sam Wilson perspective in here. Like, yeah, we had dinner. It was a great time. They threw me a party. It was dope. Like his own personal experience in Wakanda. It's so fantastic. I love the way that Anthony Mackie does. Like, he really has fun with these interviews. But what do you take away from some of this stuff that he says in here, Stuart, from not only just the suit aspect, but what it can do for him, and the idea of him still being a counselor, and how he as a character will go about approaching some of the things that he bumps into in these movies?
Yeah, I love all of it. The part of him being a counselor still makes a lot of sense, because even though we didn't see a lot of it in Falcon the Winter Soldier, the way he gave kind of his pep talk to like not only Bucky, but also to the people who were like what were they? Because they weren't like were they government officials? I don't know, but like basically,
Oh yeah, like senators and they're like senators
yeah,
and congressmen and things like that. Yeah.
congressman, that's right. Yeah, it's like all of them. And yeah, the way he basically just tells them exactly what they need to hear, so we definitely see that side of him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We just didn't really get to see him like counseling others the way he did in his introduction in the Winter Soldier. So so hopefully we get more of that. Yeah, that would be something really cool to see. And even if we don't see him like hosting meetings like he was doing in the Winter Soldier, just the way he talks, his character interacts with others, I think that alone is probably enough to like kind of show he's still that same man. As for the suit being more high tech, that makes a lot of sense, because when you don't have the super soldier serum, you need something to give you an edge. And I think that using a high tech suit is definitely his edge that he would have in a fight. So I think that and we'll definitely get to see him show that off when he fights the Red Hulk, I think, because the Red Hulk is all muscle, all serum, and so it'll be like literally like all serum versus all tech.
Yeah, I am curious if Sam Wilson can take a punch from the Red Hulk like legit and in this suit. Like, I wonder if he's gonna have to use like his wings to deflect some of that power. Like, can his suit absorb that type of punishment type of thing? Like, I am really curious as to what his suit can do.
Well, if it was made in Wakanda, where they made the Black Panther suit, which could also absorb like a very certain amount of power, I would assume that his suit would probably be able to do the same.
Yeah, I wonder if it's made out of vibranium, or maybe just the wings are. Because remember there was a cool shot at
That's right.
at the very end of the trailer where he like does a cartwheel and the wings cut through the car that's coming at him, sort of thing. Visually, it was incredible to watch.
Man, IRL, I wonder how long it would take for a human to train to be able to like do like those kind of stunts like on like mechanical wings without throwing up, because I imagine you have to go through some really intense training for that.
Yeah, probably. But I will say this. I appreciate Sam Wilson's approach to things. I one of the things that I really appreciated out of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and you brought this up, was really like his final speech. Like, to me, that was very much the stamp of approval that I personally gave him in regards to being Captain America. And again, this is not to take anything away from Steve Rogers, right? Like, Steve Rogers had his purpose. He had his own life experiences. He was still very much that World War II kid, kind of, a fish out of water sort of mentality. And even though he was in a more modern era, he still solved a lot of his problems by punching you in the face, right? And it is going to have to be significantly different for somebody like Sam Wilson. I think he knows people are going to view him differently. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that are not going to fully accept him as Captain America. And I think he's right in the sense that not only his life experiences, but his experiences as a military guy, his experiences dealing with other veterans and stuff like this, all gives him a completely unique and different perspective that Steve Rogers just never had. And when you need a new Captain America for the 21st century, I think Sam Wilson really fits that dynamic beautifully. And if they can kind of take that final speech that he wind up having in Falcon and the Winter Soldier and really elaborate on that and just expand that in regards to how he talks to presidents, how he talks to congressmen, in regards to really trying to do right by not only the American people, but also like being able to outwit and outsmart and outthink some of his opponents. I mean, like, Sam Wilson almost like reminds me of the type of dude that, like, when he gets into the room with somebody like the leader, like, it may not even be a case of let me punch you, but like, let me out debate you, or like, let me outsmart you, in the sense of making you really think to yourself what it is that you're doing. Like, I could literally see him ending his conflicts with like TED Talks. You know what I'm saying? Like, the ability to really be able to get his perspective across in the way that other people certainly couldn't. And that's something like I would personally like to see. Don't get me wrong. I want to see Sam Wilson certainly kick ass, but I do think there is something important about Sam Wilson being able to talk to people, and I do think that that's going to go a really long way in a film like Brave New World for sure.
I definitely agree, as long as the writing isn't as bad as it was in the Flash season 7, where like every villain of the week was just get redeemed like that from one really dumb speech from the Flash. Like, you don't want to do this. You're a good person. I believe in you. Huh, you might be right, Flash. Okay, I'm just going to make a complete 180 now.
I mean, look, it wouldn't surprise me if he gives a speech and then he just punches the leader and the leader's like, he just collapses, you know, like, all right, I'm taking you in, buddy. Like, there's no helping you at this point, sort of mentality. But so, no, I totally get what you're saying. And I think that's important, right? I mean, it is going to come down to what the level of writing is like. They've had the opportunities to do reshoots and really kind of pull back from this film and hopefully rewrite some screen moments and whatever the case may be. But I do hope that Sam Wilson, especially for the masses that have not seen him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, come to appreciate the way that I did when I saw the television series. And I hope that on the big screen, Sam Wilson can really capture and grab that mantle of Captain America for a lot of people. And he definitely will do it his own way, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But let us know your thoughts, guys. Anthony Mackie, what's some words in regards to how you can expect his Captain America to certainly be significantly different than the rest? And then, our first look, incredible image at both Joaquin Torres as the brand new Captain America and Falcon duo here. Let us know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, Stuart, I think we will move on to our next topic as we dive into out of the MCU into the DCU as James Gunn, guys, continues to make moves. He has been teasing the idea that there was a project in the works that was going to be a surprise to many. And I think that this is what he was certainly talking about as this week news wind up dropping of a very obscure character for DC Comics. If you are a DC Comics fan, you probably are familiar with this character. I think he's might have had a couple of live action appearances in the aspects of either television or name references dropped somewhere in live action or animation, if I'm not mistaken. But I was not expecting this film, especially after the announcements of Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters. This project was not on the radar, even though James Gunn has mentioned in the past, hey, there are other things that we're currently working on as well that have yet to be announced. And maybe this is one of them, ladies and gentlemen. But DC Comics character Sergeant Rock is scheduled to go ahead and have a film at this point. Not only does this movie have a writer on board, but they are currently in negotiations and talk with none other than Daniel Craig himself, possibly set to go ahead and portray Sergeant Rock in live action. So let's go ahead and dive into this article, Stuart, because I did not see this coming, even though, to be fair, I do want to give props where props is due. Nexus Point News, since September, had been talking about the idea of who was attached to write this movie, and nobody said a word. And then now Deadline.com is in fact reporting, especially again, Nexus Point News called this like 2 months ago. But according to Deadline.com, Daniel Craig and Luca Guadagnino, Ein post-queer movie to reteam in DC Studios' Sergeant Rock. It says this is an exclusive following their critically acclaimed collaboration on the upcoming film Queer. The dish here is that Oscar-nominated filmmaker Luca Guadagnino and Daniel Craig are getting back together for Sergeant Rock at James Gunn and Peter Safran's DC Studios. Actually, this is poised to be Guadagnino's next directing job before Lionsgate American Psycho reboot. So this, again, this is one of those things that we just talked about, Stuart. James Gunn kept this so close to the vest. He had a script that was ready to go to the point to where he was in talks to now try and get Daniel Craig, and now this comes out. And mind you, James Gunn hasn't even officially named this movie, but the fact that all this is kind of coming together and this is supposed to be the director's next movie, or the filmmaker's next film, it just shows like how far along in production this has really been before this news even came out. So shout out to James Gunn, if you will. He says, as we hear the Sergeant Rock screenplay by challengers and queer scribe Justin Kuretsky's is in good shape. We'll let you know when these guys are ready for action. No deals have been inked between DC Studios' Craig and Guadagnino. The film indeed would represent another big project from Safran and Gunn, slate joining Superman, which is expected to kick off DC's God and Monsters Phase 1. Then you've got the Supergirl movie and then animated series Creature Commandos, which is debuting December 5th. Script details are currently under wraps with no word on which issues of Sergeant Rock the new project is based on. They do go on to say, the character of Sergeant Franklin John Rock was created by Robert Kanigher and Joe Kubert and first appeared in 1959's DC issue Our Army at War as a World War II soldier who served in the infantry. The character gained steam in 1977 when he received his own comic book series, which ran until July 1988. Rock's tale includes shooting down German planes with a single submachine gun and tossing grenades with great accuracy. When he's without a gun, he's a great street fighter and can survive gunshots. He's a calm guy with heart, but also has a combat antenna able to detect an incoming enemy siege. So that's interesting. And there's more information here in regards to the filmmaker himself, if you guys want to read about that. But yeah, it looks like as of yet, it does say no deals have been inked. But it is important to say that not only are they in talks, but this information has also been, I should say, reaffirmed by Nexus Point News, who wind up dropping this tidbit of information back in September. So a lot of moving pieces currently going on behind the scenes here, Stuart. But look, I don't know too much about the Sergeant Rock character, to be quite honest with you. But it is something that I'm open to checking out. I do wonder if this is a great opportunity, if they wanted to like introduce us to like say future heroes like a Justice Society of America, where I don't know if I would assume they would be around here the same time as something like a Sergeant Rock if he was sort of like during that World War II kind of experience. But he's definitely, I don't want to say he's an unknown. He is definitely a character that I've known of. I just haven't necessarily had the interest in like, really diving into sort of a World War II era character and seeing about his war times, if you will. But, I'm not going to lie. Anytime James Gunn is working on a new project, if I'm not familiar with these characters, I kind of want to go back and like, either pick up a book. Maybe they got themselves a couple of volumes of Sergeant Rock. Maybe I'll get like a volume 1 and read up on it. I still want to get Superman All-Star. I still want to read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow sort of thing. So if James Gunn announces something like this, I kind of want to deep dive a little bit. He kind of fits that Captain America-esque role to me without having the super soldier serum. Even though the article does mention things like he's got like a combat antenna, he's got the ability to like know when an enemy strike is coming. He can survive multiple gunshot wounds like 50 Cent. So I am kind of curious if like there's any level of superpowers that he might have, or if that's like some level of superpower, or if he's just kind of like that gifted. So look, I think Daniel Craig, if he is in fact on board with this, great casting choice. I mean, anything with Daniel Craig, I think, is certainly a win. But to get him inside of the DC studios, working with somebody that he's familiar with a really great script in mind. Again, I'm not going to say I'm over the moon about it, but it is something that I'm going to certainly give an opportunity to because of not only who's attached, but the promise of what this could mean for continuing to build the lore and the mythology of the DCU, in which James Gunn has said, yes, this world is very much populated with heroes, and they've been around for a very long time. So this will very, I don't want to say this is like the first Avengers kind of thing where like he's the first superhero, but I would like to kind of see his impact on this world, and what else might come out of it. But Stuart, I want to know your thoughts. How familiar are you with Sergeant Rock? Is this sort of new territory for you as well? And based off of what you've heard from the character and just the people behind it, speak on this for a little bit.
I vaguely remember him in the in the Justice League 3-parter. What was it called? I just had it up. The Savage Time, which was basically a world where Vandal Savage went back in time to change the outcome of World War II, and so the Justice League have to go back to stop him, and he was one of the characters that they teamed up with to do so. So that's where my kind of familiarity with the character begins and ends. So yeah, the fact that I'm unfamiliar with the character kind of gets me more excited for this project. The fact that this is a very different, it's like funny because you get like Marvel, for example, and it's weird to say that they were playing it safe for the first phase, because technically I know that a lot of these characters, I know that Iron Man and even Thor weren't like as well known as they are now, but they were still decently popular. Like I knew who Iron Man was. I think a lot of people did. But when it comes to DC, in their first phase, I like how we kind of get a little mixture of everything. We get like kind of the Superman, which is of course a property that everyone knows about. But then after Superman, we're getting a character. We're getting a team like the Authority, something kind of relatively new, not as well known as Superman. And then I like how we kind of get that here with Sergeant Rock. We get like the fact that we have a new Batman movie, Brave and the Bold, but then we also have this Sergeant Rock, a very unknown character. And I like the fact that he just seems to be a really good soldier, and that's all there is to this character in terms of like abilities. So it's a very different perspective, especially if we're looking at this world where superheroes have existed for a long time. It'll be kind of cool to have a human perspective of what it's like living in that world and having to like kind of earn your strength, earn your skills like the hard way without being born with these gifts, or having some freak accident give you these superpowers. As for the other thing that you mentioned with the Justice Society, I really hope we get to see the Justice Society in this movie, not as like main characters or anything like that, but I hope we get to see him from his perspective, where it's like he sees them in the distance, or he hears stories about them from his from the other people that he's like probably serving with, something along those lines. And then lastly, just because I love that 3-parter so much, the Savage Time, I would love if Vandal Savage ends up being like the villain for this movie. Like maybe he could be a villain that he doesn't actually get fully defeated, so we could still see him in a future Justice League movie. But I think Vandal Savage, it would be cool to get a actual live action version of the character. The one from Legends of Tomorrow does not count.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see if they who the villain of this certainly might be. Vandal Savage would be a really great one. Like I would be curious too, if like you said, if we do get a JSA cameo in here, what is Sergeant Rock's opinion on heroes during this time? Does he feel like, oh, they're not needed sort of thing, right? Like, why do you need them when you got me? Or traditional soldiers. Like I am curious as to how he would view the concept of superheroes kind of getting involved during that time. It does bring up another fascinating concept too. And I was just thinking about this as you were talking. Creature Commandos has a character from World War II. And
that's right.
In the sense of G.I. Robot. And he's mentioned the idea of wanting to go back and kill Nazis. So I do wonder if like G.I. Robot might make a live action appearance in here, because Gunn has mentioned the idea that some of the voice actors will come back to reprise their roles as the actors in the in live action. And so there is a part of me that does wonder if G.I. Robot has a presence in Sergeant Rock. I feel like it would be a missed opportunity, but I do wonder if he might pop up in that film as well.
Yeah, and plus with the character being a robot, you could totally go the route of like either CG or practical effect, and you could still, because if I'm not mistaken, it's Alan Tudyk that voices him.
I think he's doing it too. Alan Tudyk is doing so many roles right now, Stuart. He's
Yeah.
doing Dr. Phosphorus. I believe he's doing the voice for GI Robot, and it was just confirmed that he's also doing the voice of Clayface and Creature Commandos as well. And he does the Clayface
gosh.
voice in Harley Quinn, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Because I remember in an interview he was mentioning that in Creature Commando he makes sure to give it a very different take than what he gives it in Harley Quinn, which is good because I feel like two different universes. You don't want to get them too mixed up. But
Alan
yeah, that's
Tudyk
a
is
good
never
point.
going to be unemployed, man.
Oh no, never. Disney loves casting him to like voice characters in all their movies, and then even when he's not just voice acting, when he's just like in front of the screen, he's great. But it would be kind of cool though. Also, sorry, because you mentioned Clayface. I feel like he would actually be like kind of the perfect one to play that character in live action too. Like if we get like a version of Clayface before the incident, before he gets his powers when he was just an actor. I feel like Alan Tudyk could just like kind of essentially play that role, like be an over exaggerated version of himself, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Oh, real quick correction here. It's not Alan Tudyk doing GI Robot. It's going to be Sean Gunn.
Oh,
Sean
Sean
Gunn.
Gunn.
So
Okay.
he's doing two parts in um Weasel and GI Robot. Alan Tudyk is doing Dr. Phosphorus and I guess also Clayface for that as well. But regardless, Alan Tudyk I feel like is everywhere, man. Everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. All that to say, I am in agreement. GI Robot appearing in this would be freaking awesome, especially if they take a really grounded approach to this movie. If they have it feel like at times it's set in reality, but then they remind you with a character like GI Robot. Oh no, remember this is still the DC universe.
Yeah, I am curious about who the I hadn't seen as far as the writer attached. She did write the movie Queer that both the director and Daniel Craig is a part of. But he also wrote Challengers, that Zendaya tennis film that wind up getting some buzz. I don't think I personally watched it. I don't think I've seen it as of yet, but I heard some pretty interesting things from that film. So it looks like they're all kind of coming back together. Some familiar faces that have worked with each other, possibly tackling this Sergeant Rock movie. So I'm open to it. I'm open to it. It'll be interesting to kind of see a period piece kind of set within the DC studio or DCU world. But look, guys, I know not many people are super familiar with Sergeant Rock, but what do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. How you would like to see him introduced into the DCU and his impact in the bigger world. But guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below.
Had he not screwed up Black Adam, do you think that Dwayne Johnson would have been one of their top choices for Sergeant Rock?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. It does bring up the question of like, especially with Red One coming out recently and just like bombing at the box office. I do wonder if the view on Dwayne The Rock Johnson is certainly changing. Like I don't know. Like I guess people at some point in time saw him kind of like as a leading man, especially like maybe in a big blockbuster action. Like maybe that's his niche. And then maybe once he gets out of that as a leading man or like the leading name on a movie, I feel like he doesn't necessarily do too well. I feel like most of his better stuff has come with him part of was an ensemble where he's got other actors to kind of carry the story, maybe not him as the main lead outside of like maybe his early stuff. Like I think Pain and Gain was certainly one of them, and I thought he did another one when he was like a police officer or something like that garnered some attention. But him being a solo, I just don't know if he's quite that leading man that people once thought that he was, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that people kind of have just gotten to the point where they know exactly what to expect from his performance. So I think
Right.
it's just, they loved it first, but now it's like, okay, cool. We've seen it. Now we're on to the next thing. We've moved on.
Yeah, you might be right.
Also, as for this comment, I will say that this so far this writer has only done 2 movies, and I assume that they're both romantic movies because they're kind of the easier ones to direct when you don't have a huge budget. Although I guess Challengers had to have had a decent sized budget if I'm not mistaken. But from what I understand, the movie Queer, which is the second one, that one was not shot on a big budget at all. That was actually kind of a lower budget
Oh, really?
project of his. So I think that, yeah, those 2 were just made, as kind of a way to like get his name out there in Hollywood. But I do think that like, that we shouldn't let that like, I don't think we should jump to conclusions on what kind of movie Sergeant Rock is going to be just from these 2 movies. Because again, he's a very relatively new writer from what I can see from his IMDb page. Although that said, it is kind of funny. You go from writing 2 romantic movies to now it's like you're writing for DC already. Like that's really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it does bring into question, just because somebody hasn't necessarily written it yet doesn't mean that they're not capable of doing it. I mean, I do get the hesitancy that some people certainly might have towards it, but I would also say we haven't seen what the script is, right? So who's to say that James Gunn saw the script and just fell in love with it and was like, yeah, we have to make this movie. And, I wouldn't even put it past them to, if they have additional writers that might have come on board that do have kind of maybe some more experience that have kind of tweaked it sort of thing. Right. So I do think while this is still seemingly in, early development or in some levels of development, I still think that there's a lot more for this movie before it gets the opportunity to be fully realized and actually begin production and get in front of the camera sort of thing. So I get the hesitancy that some people might have, but just because they haven't written it yet doesn't necessarily mean they're not capable of it. So we'll see. We'll see what the script certainly looks like in time.
And then, sorry, one last comment on it is I do wonder then with that if they went the Kevin or not oh god, why am I forgetting his name? The director of Iron Man,
Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau, thank you. I wonder if it was like the Jon Favreau approach where he approached James Gunn with the script, or if James Gunn like knew this was a character he wanted, so he approached them and said, "Hey, could you write a script based around this?" I'm curious which way it went.
Yeah, no, that's a good for sure. Because but Jon Favreau, I don't think had ever made a comic book movie beforehand. I don't think so. Correct me if I'm wrong though in the comment section box.
He was in one, but I was more referring to The Mandalorian, how he was the one who pitched The Mandalorian to Disney rather than Disney going to him and then
right.
asking him to come up with the script for The Mandalorian.
Right, I get you. I see what you mean. All right, guys. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in regards to that as we move on to our next topic. And this is one I'm really excited to dive into, man, because I tell you, Stuart, when this movie wind up getting announced, I was really scratching my head. Like, why are we doing this remake? Like this movie literally just wrapped like 9, 8, maybe 10 years ago in regards to the trilogy, if that long ago. Time flies these days, so it's hard to make sense of things, unfortunately. But the live action How to Train Your Dragon is officially here, ladies and gentlemen. This movie, I believe, has been wrapped, going into post-production as well right now, scheduled to, or is currently in post-production, as this film is set to go ahead and drop June 13th. We wind up getting ourselves not only a brand new teaser poster as of this week, but we wind up getting ourselves a brand new trailer as well. Our very first official teaser trailer for this film. How to Train Your Dragon comes out June 13th on IMAX. I will be watching this in IMAX, bro. I will be watching this in IMAX. But we got 2 great new videos to certainly show you. First, we're going to go ahead and show you the How to Train Your Dragon trailer that wind up dropping. The official teaser wind up dropping back on November 19th. And then they also discussed the idea of they dropped the behind the scenes featurette talking to the filmmaker about putting this movie together to give us some further insight of this film's development. Stuart, have you had the opportunity to check out this trailer?
I have indeed. In fact, I actually, while working the show Wicked, I got to actually watch it on the big screen.
Oh,
and yeah,
really?
it looks really nice on the big screen. And in fact, like on the corner of my eye, just because, which we'll definitely get into as we talk about this trailer, because of how shot for shot it just looks like the animated movie. If you look at the trailer from like the corner of your eye, your brain's just gonna piece together like the scene from the animated movie, and so you'll think for a minute that you're looking at animation, and then it takes you a moment to blink and then go, oh no, this is live action. This is just such a really well created one-to-one like shot remake in live action.
I do wonder if I haven't seen the How to Train Your Dragon animated teaser trailer, like the first teaser trailer that came out. I do wonder if it is almost shot for shot like the animated teaser trailer also. I'll have to go back and certainly check that out, but they definitely put iconic moments in here that you certainly recall from the movie itself, or from the animated trilogy itself. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Even though it's not going to be a shot for shot remake, I think he's come out and he's certainly has said that it's definitely going to elaborate and be a little bit more true to the novel itself, and maybe expanding on some things. But they definitely hit us with a trailer that I think a lot of people are certainly going to be like, oh yeah, this reminds me of the animated film. So let's go ahead and bring this up here, and let's go ahead and dive in, Stuart.
Oh yes.
When you carry this axe, you carry all of us with you.
Dad, I can't kill dragons.
But you will. I'm a Viking. I'm a Viking!
Looking just as adorable as he did in the animated movie.
How did they pull that off, man?
It's okay. I won't hurt you.
Chills, man. Absolute
man.
chills.
Yeah, bro. I've always been a really big fan of the theme song too. The theme song alone really gives me chills every time I hear it. I think it's just absolutely rousing. So I'm a big fan. But you're right. I mean, they've definitely have had years of practice of bringing live action dragons to life. But I was curious as to what his design was going to be like, and it feels like they went like, could we go like realistic dragon of like Game of Thrones, or should we go like the Sonic route of still making him look like his character but as real as we possibly can? And I'm really glad that they went with the latter, in the sense of like, let's really bring Toothless to life as best as we can. And I thought they did a remarkable job with that. And if anything, it makes me really fascinated to kind of see the other. We got teased at some of the other designs of the dragons also, but I do want to see how those look in real life, if you will.
Definitely. I'm glad we skipped the whole releasing the first shots of the dragons, fans getting really pissed off. So then the animators have to go in and reanimate them all so they look more accurate. I'm glad we skipped that whole step and we just went to the, okay, here's the better looking version of it. Yeah. And it's cool because, like you mentioned, it somehow looks like not necessarily realistic, but like I buy that dragon is there despite it looking so like not it like it looks like, how do I say it? Because it doesn't look cartoonish, weirdly enough. It definitely is not the type of a design you would expect in a live action movie, but it somehow works. And I did not expect that. I think that was like the thing I was most skeptical going into this, is what kind of design would they go with the dragons from the original movie, and how would that translate to live action? And I gotta say, it's translating extremely well. And yeah, what's so cool about the trailer is that, like, I'm assuming, like, when the director mentioned, it's not a shot for shot remake, I totally believe him. I'm sure that the shots that we see from the trailer are probably just like the select ones. They only wanted to show you the ones that we're familiar with, that are similar to the original And yeah, the ones they selected were perfect for this teaser. And even if it's, you know, of course, not going to be the same movie, it feels like that heart is still there, that you get. And it especially helps when you have the director. I also love Stoic's voice. I can't believe he's
Oh
able
yeah.
to keep that same voice, because it doesn't look like he's dubbing himself over. It actually looks like he's able to do that voice like on set, which is incredible. You know, so I love that he can sound like Stoic, like both like in a booth and when he's on set. That's awesome. And yeah, so like the last thing is that I'll say is that, like, I know a lot of people are looking at this as a very obvious cash grab, and it is. This is definitely a movie made because DreamWorks likes money, and How to Train Your Dragon, those movies sold a lot, and it's perfect for merchandising. The toys for How to Sell Your How to Sell Your Dragon, How to Train Your Dragon, you know, the toys sell amazingly. So obviously DreamWorks was going to make another How to Train Your Dragon movie, regardless of whether or not it was going to be a sequel or, you know, a live action remake. I'm kind of glad they went this route, because I feel like the trilogy just wrapped everything up on a neat bow. So it's like, if they were going to make a movie just for money, this is the route that I'm kind of glad that they went. And it looks like, despite it being a studio decision to make this movie, at least the people behind the movie seem to have a lot of heart and care for the original source material. I mean, you got the same director working on it, which is really cool. So I am, you know, I was kind of nervous about this movie before, wasn't like hyped for it, but I was curious. Now I'm hyped. After seeing this teaser, I am hyped, and I hope it does not let me down.
Yeah, you know, it is fun because I do believe I heard the director did mention that they approached him to do another movie or something like that, to do How to Train Your Dragon, and I do think the fact that they wanted him to come back specifically to go ahead and do it, and I think he probably had his own like his own things, like, okay, if I come back to do it, this is how I want to do it. I don't want it to necessarily be a shot for shot. I want to expand upon it a little bit more. And the fact that DreamWorks really gave him that freedom to really create the movie that he wanted to create, I think speaks volumes. But yeah, I think, you know, you hit on something in the sense of, when I watch the animated stuff, it does hit me emotionally. I think it does trigger something in me that I really appreciate, whether that be the themes of the film, whether that be the characters, whether that just be the musical score in general. Like, there is an attachment between Hiccup and Toothless that I really connected to. And when I watched the trailer, especially the reveal of Toothless at the end, to me, it's all in the eyes. You know, I feel like they made the eyes. I don't want to say they made the eyes big on purpose, but I'm sure Toothless eyes are bigger than probably any of the other dragons that we'll get the opportunity to see. But there is a lot of emotion, and then there's a lot of expression in Toothless's face that I think will also be able to transition really well into live action. And I think for us as an audience, we'll immediately get hooked and attached to this character once again, and making me want to have my own personal dragon, especially like I did after watching the trilogy itself. So I do think that they're going to hit on a lot of emotional beats, man. And I too, I would agree with you, Stuart. After watching this trailer, I'm really invested now. I'm really glad that they decided to go ahead and go this route and make this film, because I want to see what this looks like on the big screen, especially in IMAX. And I don't think it's going to disappoint visually. If anything, too, just the finale, the final act of the first film, where they've got the huge dragon that comes bursting out of the mountain. I really want to see that visually on screen. Like, I think it's going to be pretty stunning in regards to just seeing what they're capable of doing, just graphics wise in this live action setting. So we'll see how it turns out. But that's not the only video I wanted to show you guys, because the director did come out, and the filmmaker of the, for those of you who don't know, the filmmaker that did do the original animated trilogy is also the filmmaker attached to bringing it to live action as well. So if you want to stay true to the material in which you're really remaking it from, what better way than getting the actual person that created it? And I think when you look at television series, when you look at movies, I think us as viewers always want the person that created this and brought this stuff to life to be attached in some capacity. And so to have him as the filmmaker in here, I think is brilliant as well. And he got the opportunity to talk a little bit about bringing this film together. So let's go ahead and dive into this one as well, Stuart.
I decided to revisit How to Train Your Dragon because it felt like an amazing opportunity to not only direct a live action movie, but to be jumping back into a world that I frankly miss.
Here we go. Finish the script. First draft.
I miss these characters. I missed this world, and I love movies that have a really poignant message buried deep within a moving spectacle, adventure, wonder. And that's what this movie really packs.
It's okay. I won't hurt you.
It's about a regular kid who gets to bond with a powerful animal. And there is something that's universally wish-fulfilling about that.
Damn.
But at its core, this is really a story about finding your voice and being brave enough to follow your own convictions in a world that wants you to become like everyone else.
Dad,
Damn.
I can't kill dragons.
Marching to the beat of your own drum has been such an important lesson for me in my life that I love to carry that forward.
I suppose it's just one question, really, is would you like to play Hiccup in the movie?
There's no way. There's no way. Are you serious? Thank you. Oh my, I can't. This is the best moment of my life.
Would you like to play Astrid in How to Train Your Dragon?
Oh, of course.
When it comes to Nico and Mason, these two just sort of came alive in the room, and suddenly I felt that they both embodied the core character of Hiccup and Astrid live in a way that nobody else could. Gerard Butler is stoic. He is the co-creator of the role. To watch him step right out of the animated movie and
That's
here he is
crazy.
in front of you, stoic the vast. It's such a treat to watch. My hope is that those who had seen and loved the How to Train Your Dragon films will be keen to see what we've done, because it comes from a place of love and it comes from a place of respect. This whole thing is just one big giant adventure, and I wake up every day feeling so thankful that I get to do it.
Welcome to Barrack.
Man, I love watching behind the scenes stuff. Like, I really do love just seeing how these movies kind of get made behind the scenes, but I also appreciate just the perspective of really seeing the emotion that the director gives when he talks about the enjoyment and the level of bringing these characters that he helped bring from a novel, even creating some of these characters and into animation form, and then getting to bring them into live action. I mean, the Gerard Butler as Stoic looked incredible in here. I love the sequence too that you get to see of like their first time getting an opportunity to face off against some of the dragons in the arena, of the door slowly opening and just the massive amounts of fire coming from behind it. I mean, if that's not intimidating, it makes you shit your pants as a young Viking. Like, I don't know what is. And so like, I love the fact that he is certainly staying true to the message. And I love the idea of him really referencing the idea, like, in a society where everybody wants you to kind of just be the same and do your own thing, like, to be able to learn how to become your own person. I think it's really important, especially in today's time. And so it is one of those things where I think the message itself, I really hope that the message gets through to some people. But I love this behind the scenes stuff. But what did you take away from it, Stuart?
Yeah, there are so many times where I'll watch a behind the scenes video and, you'll have people talking about what an amazing, like, life-changing experience it is. But most of the time, not most of the time, but a lot of times you're like, it sounds like Hollywood BS to me. Like, they're just saying what we want us to hear. This is not one of those times. This is actually one of those times where it's like, you hear the director talk about how passionate he is about this project. And either the director is an incredible actor or, I believe him personally. I think that, he sounded extremely sincere. And then I also love, kind of reminded me of, which I think we did a reaction to this a while ago, but it kind of reminded me of the Sasha Kaye, Jonathan Entwistle, video where it was like him announcing to her that she's going to be playing Supergirl and her getting really excited. So that's what this kind of reminded me of when he's like, how would you like to be Hiccup? How would you like to be Astrid? And you get to see both the kids like looking extremely stoked about the whole thing. Absolutely love that. I think that's like incredibly adorable.
Yeah, me too. I really love seeing reactions to just have like really big opportunities kind of thrusted in front of you. Like, I'm sure being a actor in Hollywood is like not easy. You know, I've heard countless actors in interviews say like 90% of your job is going to be no's, you know, and the idea that you gotta be patient and continue to, audition and perform for the 10% of the yeses that are going to be out there. And so for a big film like this that I think has so many people really eager to kind of see it, especially if they love the animated one, to be able to see like the enjoyment of these actors being able to land these roles and then hopefully bring a lot of these characters to life. Like for me, I really value hearing a director talk about the chemistry between some of these people. You know, I think it's one thing for us to have a fantasy cast in our mind in regards to who we think would certainly fit these roles beautifully, but it's not just about that, right? It's about who can read the script, who can really bring these characters to life, and then not only the idea of bringing them to life, but how are you acting opposite to the other main character or the person that you're going to be attached to mostly in this movie, and can you elevate what's on the script? And to be able to see that he was able to find that in somebody like Mason Thames and Nico, I think speaks volumes. And I don't think they take this type of casting lightly, you know what I'm saying? And especially he doesn't seem like he does, and then he's got to go through producers and a casting director, so I'm sure they all sat down and talked about this, but you got to find the best person to bring these characters to life. And so I'm really excited to kind of see how everybody fares in here. Gerard Butler, like I can't wait to see him on the big screen, man. So it's looking good. It's looking good. I definitely love hearing everything I'm hearing from the filmmaker, to be honest with you.
Same. Do you think I forget his last name, but Jay, the voice actor for Hiccup from the from the animated movie, do you think he'll make a cameo?
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, that would be pretty interesting. Maybe if it's a brief cameo. I don't like, should he have a talking role? Should he not? I mean, maybe a brief role. I just hope if he does have a brief role that he doesn't sound too much like maybe he will sound like Hiccup a little bit. So just so that we can make the connection there. I did hear somebody say that they wish that they went with a more awkward Hiccup. That Mason Thames looks a little too cool for the role.
I think he looks perfect. Like he seems like
totally
scrawny, and then he also has the hair down perfectly.
Yeah, they did a great job with the hair.
I think I haven't seen anything else that he's in, but I'm pretty, if I had to guess why people think that, it's probably because they've seen him in other projects where he plays the cool kid. From what I've seen from just this teaser, no, he looks like he's gonna play the adorable Hiccup like perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. But yeah, guys, look, we're both big fans of the live action trailer here. Cannot wait to see what this movie is certainly going to look like at the end of the day. We definitely want to know what you guys think. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below, and we'll definitely further this discussion. Marcelino says, everyone is sarcastically wishing this gets an animated adaptation. This goes to show that live action remakes are fatiguing. I mean, look, I personally haven't heard the idea of wishing that they get an animated adaptation. I mean, we literally have the movie already, so I don't really see the need for it. But I get the idea of the fatigue, because literally before I saw any clips of this, just the announcement alone, I'm like, oh, God, really, guys? Like, we can't even wait 20 years before we get it. But I do think the idea that this is not going to be a shot-for-shot remake, I think says a lot. And so I do think that this will give the movie an opportunity to explore themes, further character arcs a little bit more, maybe not just necessarily for Hiccup, but maybe other characters in here as well. So I think there's going to be a little bit more exploration and scenes that weren't necessarily in the movie. So I don't mind if that's the case, right? Like a shot-for-shot remake I might find fatiguing, but if a remake is in position to then grow upon a storyline and build upon some of the characters, I personally can be down with that, honestly.
Definitely, same here. It's kind of funny too, because it just occurred to me, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, this is DreamWorks' first live action remake that they're doing.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I think you might be right. I have seen some articles saying should they go that route of like Disney and start remaking all of their Disney, their DreamWorks things.
I would be I'm not saying this would be good. In fact, it actually might be terrible, but I would be intrigued to see what a live action Shrek would look like. But my actual thought that I was going to is if this movie does really well, it'll be kind of funny because you have Disney who's been trying to pull this off for so long and then constantly most of the remakes, I don't think it's controversial to say just do not hit well with audiences. I don't think a lot of them are really good personally. I think most of them are just kind of mediocre, go through the motions, that kind of a thing. So I would be happy if this movie did really good and then suddenly it's like the internet goes, see, Disney, this is how you remake your property in live action.
Yeah, absolutely. Marcelino did correct me here real quick. He did say they were saying this sarcastically. So okay, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, he said I said they were saying this sarcastically, saying they didn't mean it, but yeah, I get you now. Roman Reigns. First off, let me just acknowledge you, Roman, for certainly coming through. The true tribal chief here. How to drain your dragon is gonna be fire. Oh my god. Thanks, Roman. Yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, we got two more topics that we're going to dive into. I did switch up the order real quick, Stuart, so the next banner should be the proper one. As we have a little bit of a Highlander update for you guys. If you guys are big Henry Cavill fans here, he is going to be in the upcoming reboot of Highlander. He's also going to be in the upcoming live action Voltron movie, which I'm so excited about. Probably getting ready to be in front of the cameras here relatively soon. But Henry Cavill will be in Highlander, and the upcoming director for that film is probably somebody that you're familiar with, director Chad Stahelski, most notably known for creating and bringing us the world of John Wick. He's going to be tapping into this Highlander world, and we did have ourselves a little bit of a update here that we wanted to go ahead and share with you guys. This comes to us from IGN. And the main title of this, believe it or not, says Henry Cavill plays a martial arts master who's trained for over 500 years in the upcoming Highlander movie. John Wick director Chad Stahelski has revealed a little bit more about the hotly anticipated Highlander movie, which is set to feature the Witcher actor Henry Cavill. It says, speaking with Stahelski, revealed the film is set in beyond present-day New York and Hong Kong, with Henry Cavill set to play a sword master who's been alive for over 500 years, training in all sorts of martial arts along the way. So, yeah, I would assume he's really getting heavy into his training bag right now for some hand-to-hand combat, Stuart.
It sounds like he's kind of playing Sean Connery's role from the first Highlander movie.
Ooh, you think so?
Yeah.
It does say Calvill's role is set to be it says yet to be officially revealed, but given his character is over 500 years old and has spent that time training for combat, he's no doubt one of Highlander's immortal warriors. The question is, does he play a MacLeod? He says, Stahelski offered a vague story setup. He says, and we're bringing it forward from the early 1500s in the Highlands to the beyond present-day New York and Hong Kong and seeing how it goes. There's big opportunity for action. So I wonder, are we talking like 2030, 2100? Like, I'm curious how beyond present day he's talking about here. There's a chance to play a character that not a lot of people get to play. And it's a bit of a love story, but not how you think. On John Wick, I learned a lot about how to bend the storytelling a little, another kind of myth. He says, and on Cavill's character, my selling point to Cavill was, look, you've got a guy that's been alive for 500 years. He's the last person in the world that wanted to be in this situation. So you get to cover quite a broad spread of a character arc there. And you get to experience someone that's trained over 500 years and sort of played with martial arts. He did suggest back in August that it could be the start of something big. He says, I think we have some very good elements. The trick is when you have the tagline, there can only be one, you can't just kill everybody the first time. So he says our story engages a lot of the same characters and stuff like that, but we've brought in elements of all TV shows, and we're trying to do a bit of a prequel, a setup to The Gathering. So we have room to grow the property. And in Highlander, for those of you who don't know what The Gathering is, it says it is a summoning that forces the immortal warriors to face each other in what's called the game. So it's kind of like their final showdown in a sense, right, Stuart?
Mm.
So yeah, so we'll see what this is like. But Henry Cavill's definitely going to be getting in his action sequences for sure. I guess that shouldn't come as a surprise when it comes to Chad Stileski and what he certainly likes to bring to his characters. But any initial thoughts in regards to this, Stuart?
Yeah, so I'm going with the prediction of Sean Connery's character instead of always forget his name.
McLeod?
McLeod, yeah.
McLeod?
So I'm going with that. I forgot the name of Sean Connery's character. It's been a minute since I've watched Highlander. But yeah, I think it's about time that Highlander got a reboot, because the continuity, the universe is just a huge mess. Every movie constantly contradicting the previous movie, constantly retconning the previous movie, deciding to rechange what the origin of the Highlanders are. So I think that, yeah, doing a full reboot is probably the best route for this. I think that, Henry Cavill being involved is really cool. You'll definitely get butts and seats with him on the poster. And the John Wick director, man, this guy has not done me any wrong yet, and I don't think this will be the movie where I don't see this being his first flop. Like, that would be a huge shock to me, honestly.
Yeah, that would be a huge shock to me. Roman Reigns here with the great Henry Cavill casting choice. Looks like he could be the rock and roll Beyonder. I'm assuming he's talking about from the MCU. Because a Beyonder had a pretty significant role in Secret Wars, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, maybe that's the secret. Maybe that's the mysterious Henry Cavill role that people have been rumoring for quite some time. Maybe that's who he's going to play. I love that casting choice, man. But
he's not going to be the Calverine anymore.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I'm eager for this. I personally am not a huge Highlander fan. I think I maybe watched the first one, and that's really about it. Maybe a couple episodes of the television series here and there. But yeah, Chad Stileski, Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill even talked about, like, if you thought my sword work in The Witcher was incredible, like, you literally have seen nothing yet. So I'm ready for Henry Cavill to do what he does best, and that's kick some ass in the best way possible. So we'll see. But I just wanted to share that update with you guys in that regards. And last but not least, we got one more topic for you guys today, and this one, bro, is by far my favorite that we certainly got to discuss, because my hype level just continues to raise when it comes to Masters of the Universe live action. Look, I was a sucker for the Dolph Lundgren Masters of the Universe back in the day. There were 2 VHS tapes in my life, Stuart, that I worn out over and over again back in the VHS days and going to the video store. It was Return of the Jedi and Masters of the Universe. And I made my mom sick of watching Masters of the Universe over and over and over again. But Travis Knight, the gentleman behind Kubo and the Two Strings, along with Bumblebee, is set to go ahead and bring Masters of the Universe to life with Mattel. Homeboy had a whole entire PowerPoint presentation, a whole lore built up. I mean, he definitely earned this particular role. Over the past couple of months, we have been getting casting announcements in regards to who's going to be playing certain roles, from Evelyn to Teela to He-Man, Prince Adam himself, sort of thing. But this one, Stuart, just hits differently. This week, ladies and gentlemen, we got a new casting announcement that good old Idris Elba was in fact coming on board Masters of the Universe to play none other than Man-at-Arms. And I am really, really excited about this particular casting announcement. So let's go ahead and dive a little bit into this setup here. Again, this one comes to us this is originally given to us from The Wrap. Idris Elba in early talks to play a Man-at-Arms in Amazon and Mattel's Masters of the Universe movie. This is an exclusive. Travis Knight will direct Mattel's He-Man movie adaptation. It says Idris Elba is in early talks to play Man-at-Arms in the upcoming live-action feature film. Elba would star alongside Nicholas Galantzine in the role of He-Man, Camila Mendez, who is playing Teela, and Alison Brie as Evelyn. Travis Knight is directing the film from a screenplay by Chris Butler. The initial draft was written by David Callahan and Aaron and Adam Nee. Plot details are being kept under wraps for this film, which will be released exclusively in theaters. In theaters, Stuart, I thought, look, anytime I see Amazon working or Amazon MGM working on something, I always ask myself the question, is this going to be like straight to streaming? Is this going to get a theatrical release? But it will be released exclusively in theaters worldwide June 5th, 2026. So we got ourselves about maybe a good year and a half to certainly go here. But the movie will be produced by Escape Artists and Mattel Films. It says, does it say anything more about these characters, yo? I guess that's it. Yeah, it says next up, Elba will be appearing in second season of Apple's Hijack. And then, yeah, I think that's really about it. I think that's all that it says. I thought there was more to this article here. Let me look at this other one here from Hollywood Reporter. Elba is in final negotiations to play Duncan, aka Man-at-Arms, in the live-action adaptation here. Anything else? Yeah, I guess that's all of it. I was hoping that they would like break down the character of Man-at-Arms, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe Man-at-Arms was actually assigned by the king of Eternia to go ahead and bring together technically the masters of the universe. So it's really like him putting together like a fighting force, if you will, to protect Eternia, and that included like his daughter Teela, along with He-Man and other sort of champions, if you will. So it's really Man-at-Arms that helps bring sort of the masters of the universe aspect together. And he was showcased pretty well, I thought, in the Kevin Smith animated stuff that we wind up getting also. So look, I first off, I love Idris Elba. I truly do. I am really eager. Like, I think this is a perfect casting for him, if you ask me. There is something about just his presence on the screen, like the gravitas, the respect that I think as an older sort of grizzled veteran of war and combat, I think he can really sort of capture that imagination really well. And I think he would look really cool in that outfit too, to be quite frank with you. I feel like this is maybe out of all the people that we heard, maybe Camila Mendes to play Teela, but Idris Elba for me just sort of, I think, can really embody somebody like a Man-at-Arms. And so I'm really fascinated to kind of see what they do with his character. How much of a role will he certainly play? It, I get vibes that Teela and Evil Lynn are going to have some really significant roles in here. We have yet to have a casting for Skeletor. And I thought Skeletor would be like the first person that they announced, even though I think there's rumors going around that it might be Jared Leto, where I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Dafoe.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool too. So I am eager to kind of see how this the casting choices will certainly round itself out. But look, I would have thought somebody like a Man-at-Arms would have been announced even earlier than like a Teela or even an Evil Lynn. So I do expect an official Skeletor casting here, hopefully within by the end of the year for sure. But yeah, man, Stuart, this seems to be coming together relatively well. I'm eager for this one. How do you feel about this casting choice?
For a character like Man-at-Arms, he's one of those rare types where you get someone who's both a nerd, like a tech nerd, but also an extreme badass in the field. And I think Idris Elba is perfect because he has played both a genius and a badass, and sometimes a little bit of both, depending on the movie. So he's already shown that he's capable for a role like this. So I think that is perfect. And like you said earlier, I think he's going to look really, really awesome in that suit. Because we've seen him in a kind of similar design with Bloodshot from the Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah.
So I think that when it comes to that kind of design with him, I think he's gonna look incredibly badass, and I think this is gonna be really cool. I love that this is coming to the theaters. I'm glad that you brought that up earlier, because you're right. A lot of Amazon movies tend to skip the theatrical release and just go straight to the website. I'm so happy this is getting a theatrical release. This is a movie that it looks like it's just going to be an absolute blast, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, man. I'm just happy that this is coming together. Like this has been years in the making. And now that we got all these casting announcements and things like that, like it just feels like there's something tangible happening here. I personally feel like there's no momentum that can stop this movie from getting in front of the cameras. We'll see if I'm wrong or not, but it just feels like they're so far along with the casting and moving forward that it would be a shame if this movie just didn't happen. Again, when it comes to things like even Voltron, I hope Voltron is a worldwide theatrical release also. I just think there's just so many people that grew up in the 80s and the 90s that I think love sort of these properties that I think want to see them get their just due finally. And I think Travis Knight is the real guy to certainly make that happen. And so far, I've been really enjoying the casting announcements. But yeah, the Idris Elba as Man at Arms just feels so right to me. And I mean, I even think about like just what his role, especially in something like Pacific Rim too. You know, he kind of had that general sort of vibe, as well as wearing a really badass costume and suit and stuff. So I would like to find out what his dynamic is going to be like, especially with somebody like his I think it's his adopted daughter, if I'm not mistaken, or stepdaughter in Tila. But I would like to see what that relationship is certainly going to be like, and what his relationship really is going to be like with Prince Adam and just the royalty of eternity. And so I think he can really present himself in a ton of different factors. I think he's just that type of chameleon of an actor for sure.
I am curious if because I don't know how it like happened in the cartoon, the original cartoon that is. But I'm curious if he finds out that Prince Adam is He-Man like in the beginning, or if this is something that like that Prince Adam like keeps to himself until the very end. I'm curious about what their relationship and dynamic is going to be like.
Yeah, I don't think Man at Arms knows, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't believe that he knows. Something tells me Tila does, but I can't remember. He definitely keeps his secret identity from a lot of people. I just can't remember if Man at Arms is one of them or not. It's been a minute since I've watched the series myself, but let me know your guys' thoughts. Or let me know if Man at Arms always knew, or maybe he's one of those things like he always suspects it, but he's not quite sure. Yeah, and really, are we gonna get a cringer? Like I need to know if I'm gonna get a big ass green tiger in this movie.
I assume so. It'll probably, I mean, obviously, I'm sure it'll be like completely CG, because how do you train a real tiger like that? But yeah, I'm sure we'll get Cringer.
But yeah, we'll definitely see, guys. But let us know your thoughts in regards to how Masters of the Universe is certainly coming together in the comment section box below. And shout out to Blossom too. I forgot to bring up Blossom's comment. She says, "Hey Adam, sorry I'm late. It's all good. Appreciate you having you here today with us, Blossom. So thank you as always." And with that out of the way, Stuart, I think you know what time it is.
I do indeed. And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And we're going to wrap up our show today with your guys' live viewer questions. For those of you who have not submitted or know how our live viewer questions work, every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, we will go ahead and make a post over on our YouTube page. You can go over to our YouTube channel, as you see right here. Click on that community tab. And again, every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, we will go ahead and post some questions, or opportunity for you guys to leave some questions if you'd like to. So let's go ahead and bring that up. I'm going to turn on some music. Let me know if the music is a little bit too loud, or if you need to adjust it. All right. I think we got all our questions to go. Although Marcelino's questions again aren't quite showing up as the read more segment. So if you wouldn't mind also, Stuart, trying to pull that up just in case. Oh, never mind. His stuff came up as read more now.
Cool.
We should be okay. But yeah, bring him up just in case. Just in case.
Sounds good.
See, when I readjusted, it didn't do it, but I'll try and make this work. Blossom with the first question here today. What do you guys think is more which one do you guys think is more well written with Marvel and DC, the movies or the cartoons?
I think with DC, I can definitely say the cartoons a lot of the times. Obviously, there are definitely exceptions, I think, on both. It's hard to say like one is like superior to the other, but I think that when it comes to like the quantity of cartoons DC has made and how many work compared to how many don't work compared to the quantity of movies that DC has made and the ones that work and don't work, I think the animated side of things definitely is a little better than the live action side. But for Marvel, I would say it's the opposite. I would say definitely their movies over their animated movies.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I've always been really impressed with DC's cartoon stuff, honestly. Their live action have always been really kind of hit or miss for me. But yeah, when it comes to Marvel, I would say their live action, their movies are more well written to me. If they're rebooting Power Rangers, how do you guys imagine it being done? Any thoughts on that one, Stuart?
Oh, I think I've mentioned this before. If it were me, if I were the producer of this, I would go the Star Trek route from 2009, and I would have one actor, probably David Yost, because everyone loves the original Blue Ranger. I would have him from the original timeline, basically going back in time to prevent some like new threat that maybe takes place a few years before the events of Power Rangers, and so because of that, we get like a younger version of the team. Maybe they're freshmen instead of I assume they were like what, juniors or seniors in high school during Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So here they would be freshmen. Billy would be like the main mentor of, probably would kill off Zordon just to like show, hey, there's some real stakes here. And heck, you know what? I might even kill off some of the original Rangers as well, so we could have a mixture of the Rangers that came in later, such as Rocky and Aisha, and some of the original cast, just to really like kind of throw people off. But I'd give like kind of a cool mix of the two, that a combination of the team that we haven't seen before, and with Billy as the mentor. But and then I would use that as a starting point for a new Power Rangers franchise, one that would be like a separate timeline, but could theoretically, the original timeline could still be going like in the future.
I really dig that idea, honestly. I do like that callback to Star Trek and making that certainly happen. There was a part of me that wouldn't mind the idea of one Ranger kind of helping reboot the Power Rangers in general in that sense. So I do like that idea of Billy kind of coming back. Look, my reboot is like, just burn it all to the ground, y'all. Just just start over again. Like as long as you keep the values and the themes of Power Rangers intact. Maybe not Zordon as sort of like the mentor that brings it all together, but something else that brings them all together, I would be okay. Look, give me a whole new team. If they want to stick with the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger theme of like dinosaurs and whatnot and calling themselves the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, like I'm perfectly okay with that. But I would personally would just go the route of brand new characters, brand new town, and really build off upon that, if you will. Just more modernize them, sort of thing. I would like to see these characters sort of in a more realistic high school setting of today, if you will.
Yeah.
Marcelino also does have some questions here. Let's see here. There's always been criticisms of characters or plot lines who have potential but end up getting wasted or forgotten about. But was there ever a time where people complained about a character or plot line being wasted potential, but you disagreed and thought that they served their purpose just fine and didn't need to be more? For me, it's Carnage in Venom.
That's actually a pretty good question. Because I feel like it definitely happens a lot with women characters in movies when the plot revolves around the guy, and it's like a lot of times when it's like kind of the love interest type of thing, and the woman's only there for the guy to have an obstacle or to have like a goal, basically. But if there is one movie, I think that, okay, here's one that I know a lot of people hated. I kind of loved just because it was a really good like shock, basically, to kind of show you that they're not playing around with it. As much as I loved Becky in Clerks 2, I kind of love that Kevin Smith had the balls to kill her off at the very beginning of Clerks 3. Like, we don't even see her death. Like, literally, our first indication that she's gone is that there's a photo of her, and right underneath it is RIP. And it's like, what? And it's like literally on screen for half a moment before, you know, they almost want you to forget that that's there until it comes up later on in the plot. And it's just, I think that was just such a ballsy decision that I kind of liked. It doesn't mean that her character was kind of unutilized. And did she have a lot of potential? Yes, I would have loved to have seen her relationship with Dante, you know, continue, especially with them raising a kid. But I also think it was a pretty ballsy decision for, you know, Kevin Smith to just be like, nope, they're both gone. Yeah.
I wasn't sure off the top of my head, so I did put in Google wasted potential characters, and TV is the first one that comes up. And so I was like, oh, this is interesting. Let me look at this, because I couldn't think of any off the top of my head. But there are two in here that I 100% agree with. For me, one, if you ever watched the show Lost, there was a character by the name of Claire Littleton. She wound up having a baby on the island. I don't know, there was just a lot more that I felt like they could have explored with her character, especially because she had not only had the baby, but she was like abducted, and then people were wondering whether or not anything was wrong with the baby. I think they wind up getting her off the island, I think within like season 3, if I'm not mistaken. But I really would have liked to have seen a little bit more explored with her character. They did give her a little bit of a backstory in regards to like how she got on the island, especially with her relationship with Charlie and how that ended and whatnot. I really would have liked to have seen a little bit more of Claire. But the one that really jumped out at me in this, if you were a Stranger Things fan, Barb.
Oh yeah.
Barb from, I don't even remember what season it was. Barb Holland from season 1, right? She goes missing from the pool, and I honestly thought that there was going to be more to the story. I honestly felt like it was just a opportunity just wasted to be explored, especially when they went more into the upside down world. You know, I'm looking at season 2, I'm looking at season 3, like anytime now they're going to make a Barb reference or build upon, and she never came back. And I just felt so bad for Barb. But I definitely wanted to see more, and I thought they could have explored something really, really fascinating in that regards. Like maybe she somehow survived. Maybe she'll come back and she'll team up with somebody else. I have no idea, but I've lost all hope. But I thought Barb was a missed opportunity, honestly.
Did you ever see that Comic-Con panel that she went to for Stranger Things season 2?
What'd you say?
Did you see the Comic-Con panel that the actress who played Barb?
No, I didn't.
So basically, it was like during the Q&A part, you have like a bunch of people, lined up, and it was just like the Andrew Garfield thing where he had like a Spider-Man mask on, and then revealed it was Andrew Garfield underneath, like at a Comic-Con. But for this, I don't even remember if she was in costume or not, or if she had a mask on. But she goes up to the mic. It's the actress from season 1 who played Barb. She's like, "So, are we ever gonna get like any closure on Barb? Because the way you kind of killed her off was really messed up, guys."
That's so funny. Oh, actually, I answered the question wrong. I'm so sorry, Marcelino. He said, what characters who people criticize was wasted that I disagree with? Oh,
yeah.
God.
So one that you don't think was wasted. So for me, I'm going to stick with my answer, which wait, what was my answer again?
Oh man. Okay, now you got me like wanting to like look down this line again. I'm trying to think. I mean, there are some people like they even have like T-Dog from The Walking Dead. I don't even know if I was like, was he really even an underutilized character? I mean, I don't know if people were complaining about that dude, but if they were, no, I don't agree with that. I don't really know off the top of my head. I would need somebody to give me like examples. I can't. I'm not that good with like thinking off the top of my head like that. I've seen so much television and movies that people that criticize that was wasted potential, but then I agree with. I felt like they did their purpose. I don't know. Shoot me some examples, Marcelino, and I'll I'll answer if I felt that they were wasted or not. I just can't think off the top of my head. Like Venom, did he fit his purpose in the movie?
With Carnage, I think he did. You know, his purpose was to be an obstacle for Venom. I think when people say that they felt like Carnage was underutilized, what they're talking about is like how they could have used him in other Spider-Man movies going forward. But I still think there's a possibility for that because it's the multiverse. You know, we could still have a Carnage like in the world of the MCU. So I would agree with Marcelino in that sense with his thoughts on Carnage.
Yeah, he also says people will say that Carnage was wasted on Venom, but I disagree. And I'm confused because Carnage in the comics is just a serial killer. He's not a three-dimensional or well-written character. He is an action figure. You don't care about him. You only care about how he affects Spider-Man and Venom and how they bounce back from it. Carnage in the movie is literally what he is in the comics. So what the hell does it mean when people say Carnage is wasted? I'm not saying that you can't criticize the script, but let's not always have that notion that comics were always superior. I would agree with you. I would agree with you. And I'm sorry, I didn't. The only reason why I didn't finish the question is the way that it pops up on my screen. It literally looks like that was the end of the question, and then 2 is, but he meant to say, for me, it's Carnage on Venom 2, but the way that it looks like it's question 2. So I'm sorry.
No, I also had that confusion too for a moment because I'm like, why are there 2 2s?
My bad. Okay, so we all know that Arrow had plans to use the Suicide Squad, either have an entire season revolve around them or even give them their own spin-off, but Warner Brothers forced them to kill them off because of the movie that was being made. Unlike everyone else, Amanda Waller was killed off in season 4, and I heard rumors somewhere that Warner Brothers actually followed Amanda Waller, allowed her to be the only Suicide Squad actor the Arrow crew were allowed to use, but the writers for Arrow were so pissed off by not using Suicide Squad that they intentionally killed off Amanda Waller as a means of a protest. I want to know if any of this is true, because if this is true, that's just extremely petty, and I don't know how that helps out the Arrowverse writers at all.
I don't think it's true. I think the only reason they killed her off, I don't think it was necessarily because they were petty. I think it was just because they knew they couldn't really do much else with her character at that point. And I think they also just really wanted Lila to take over Argus, so that way there could be a new dynamic between her and Diggle, with the two of them, you know, wanting to have a healthy relationship, but, you know, constantly butting heads with how they tend to disagree with each other, which I actually always loved their relationship dynamic. I love how perfectly unperfect it was, you know, and both of them kind of calling each other out on their own hypocrisies. Like Diggle would be like, how could you do that? You're not above the law. And she's like, you're a vigilante.
Yeah, I something tells me that it might just be a rumor. I personally have never heard anything in regards to that one. But I would agree with you, Stuart, in the sense of, it's like, you know, when I think of Amanda Waller, granted, you know, she always has some sort of scheme, right? Like she's always trying to push some sort of scheme forward, but she usually is connected to like a Suicide Squad or Task Force X or whatever you certainly want to call them. So the idea of not being able to utilize her in any capacity with the Suicide Squad, I can understand the idea of maybe killing her off in order to explore other avenues from some of the characters that you currently do have. And I do think it made for a more interesting dynamic. So I don't know if it was done out of pettiness so much as it was like maybe they just felt their options at that point were kind of limited with the direction in which they really wanted to go. So yeah, I don't think it was out of pettiness, but you know, if anybody gets the opportunity to ask her that question at a convention sometime, I would definitely like to know.
I'm also glad this didn't happen, because I actually really liked Diggle and Diana Drake's platonic relationship. I think that like trying to make it romantic actually would have completely ruined it. So I would definitely agree.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. After the 90s Superman cartoon was canceled, there was another 90s cartoon titled Spider-Man Unlimited. That was when Saban had the rights to make a Spider-Man cartoon by adapting the first 26 issues. But this was around the time Sony got the movie rights, and they told Saban that they couldn't use any Spider-Man character storylines or settings, but they could make a show called Spider-Man. The main story, the main story is that Spider-Man.
Hang on. I just want to correct one thing. Sony didn't tell them they couldn't do that. Avi Arad said that they couldn't use any Spider-Man
Oh.
characters. Just making sure we all know who specifically in Sony to blame.
The main story is that Spider-Man leaves Earth to rescue Jameson's son on Counter-Earth, who has become the leader of a human resistance group fighting for equal rights against humanoid animals who treat humans as second-class citizens. He gets a new suit, a new job where he works at a news gazette run by animals, and even sometimes teams up with the Green Goblin, who in this version is a vigilante who faked his death to keep his wife and son safe, who Spider-Man also lives with, creating a love triangle, also equipped with stereotypical racist thick Mexican accent. The Vulture is a human bird hybrid who fights for human rights. The show is described as being very stupid because it wants to be a Spider-Man cartoon but not allowed to be. Man, I'm gonna have to check out this video that you've I don't even remember that, Stuart.
Oh yeah, I do, because yeah, I remember the first episode. Like, I was hooked for the first half of it when it was like actually a Spider-Man cartoon, and it was treated kind of like it was a sequel to the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. But then, like, yeah, I assume when all the restrictions came in, that's why they ended up having to set it on an alternate like Earth with human animal hybrids in order to yeah. So it wasn't very good from what I remember. I mean, I'm sure if I were to rewatch it now with like, you know, different expectations, not being, because I'm sure like the reason I gave up on it was because, you know, I wanted Spider-Man stuff in my Spider-Man cartoon and I didn't get it. But I'm sure if I rewatched it now for what it was, I may have a more optimistic view on the whole thing. But, you know, as of now, looking back on it, I look at it as kind of like, yeah, not very good.
Yeah, dude, that sounds so cringe to me. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. That sounds so, at this point, it's just like, why even make it? Like, if you literally cannot make it, just stop. I get the concept. I think is cool of Spider-Man trying to save Jameson's son because of the idea of like him being an astronaut and he goes off to the planet. Like, that's cool. But after that, like, boy, that jumps the shark, bro. Like, that's just, he starts working for a gazette run by animal. What are we talking about here? Like, this is no longer a Spider-Man show. Like, please just stop. That's terrible. I will check that out, Marcelino, though. So thank you so much for letting me know about that. Sam, what's up, Sam? Good to see you, man. I would like to see Ace in DC Batman comic books, Bruce's dog in live action. Interesting. I didn't even know he had a dog.
Yeah, he was like kind of his guard dog, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, interesting. All right, that'd be pretty cool. Why not? We got Crypto. Why not?
I remember there was the Crypto Superdog cartoon series, and Ace was in it, but he was like actually dressed as like the Bat Hound, so he would go on adventures with Crypto. I hope we don't see anything like that in the live action movies, but you know, if we get, you know, Bruce Wayne's guard dog, you know, I'd be cool with that.
He also says, where'd it go? Oh, Ulysses 31 could do a live action TV series. Would be amazing. I'm not too familiar with it, but it says Ulysses 31 is an anime series from 1981 that updates the Greek mythology of Odysseus to the 31st century.
Oh, I'm hooked.
I'm hooked already, bro. The series follows the struggles of Ulysses and his crew against the divine entities that rule the universe, the ancient gods from Greek mythology. The gods of Olympus are angered when Ulysses, commander of the giant spaceship Odyssey, kills the giant Cyclops to save a group of enslaved children, including his son. Zeus sentences Ulysses to travel the universe with his crew frozen until he finds the kingdom of Hades, at which his crew will be revived and he will be able to return to Earth. Along the way, they encounter numerous and famous figures from Greek mythology, given a futuristic twist. Sign me up.
I'm looking at the intro for this right now, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Okay, so I am adding this to my list for sure.
Marcelino says Spider-Man Unlimited is on Disney Plus. Okay, maybe I'll give it a 1 or 2 episode watch and see how it fares. But Sam, I feel you, bro. I'm right there with you. Ulysses 31. Somebody make that now. I haven't seen the new Tokusatsu series of Wingman based on the comic book in 1983.
I watched a couple of highlighted clips from it because a couple of Tokusatsu YouTubers I follow were talking about it.
Okay.
And yeah, it looks like kind of looks very similar to Kamen Rider in terms of the costume design. And yeah, it looks like it's definitely a decent fun action tokusatsu series.
Okay, pretty cool. Peg C, what's up, Peg C? Good to see you, Ram Jam. What are your thoughts on the voice actor Pamela Hayden from The Simpsons will be retiring from the animated series after spending 35 years providing the voice for characters like Milhouse, Jimbo Jones, Janie, and many more? Her final episode will be tonight.
Oh,
wow, what a illustrious career, man. 35 years on The Simpsons. That's incredible work, man. Shout out to Pamela Hayden. Sad to see her go, but man, all that years of service to one show is incredible. So many great characters.
Amazing that the show has been around for 35 years now, and like the fact that we still have the same voice actor for Homer and Marge and Bart and Lisa, like after that long, man.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible. Do you think the Green Samurai Ranger from Ninja Storm was a hybrid of the Green and White Ranger from Mighty Morphin?
I never saw him that way. I just saw him as his own like individual ranger personally.
Yeah, same here. What were your thoughts on Saba, the talking sword, when Tommy became the White Ranger?
I love Saba.
Yeah, I love Saba. I wouldn't have minded if he had actually more dialogue, to be honest with you. I really would like to have seen some like really great like moments between him and Tommy, like really I just want Tommy to have a really terrible day at school and come home and literally have like a 5-minute conversation with Saba, and Saba like help guide him through his rough day. Like I really would have liked to have seen Saba talk and just drop more knowledge, you know what I'm saying?
No way. The guess the name of the voice actor for Saba, because I was like looking it up. You're not gonna believe it. It's Tony Oliver.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's pretty crazy. But I liked them. And I think I even liked them even in the counterpart of the Super Sentai counterpart as well for that. So yeah, I was a fan.
I liked him too because his voice always reminded me of Gabumon from Digimon, which is why I was like looking up the voice actor, because now that I'm thinking about it in my head, I'm like wondering, are those the same voices? So I will have an answer very soon.
AJ, Power of the Morphin Grid. What's up, man? He says Mike becoming the Magna Defender in Lost Galaxy was one of the best storylines in that series. Not only was it cool to see Magna Defender give his power to Mike after releasing him from his body from when he used Mike as a vessel in order to survive on Earth for wanting to get revenge on the death of his son Zika. Mike becoming Magna Defender helped resolve the long-running issue with his brother Leo. That's really what I was a fan of, was the long-running issue with Leo. I thought that was actually pretty cool. Mike reassured Leo that he pulled the red Quasar Saber in the first episode for him to become the Red Ranger before he originally sacrificed himself underground. Regarding his role in the team, once Mike became the new Magna Defender, he was very much the sixth hero. While he did have a morpher of his own, he qualified as both a Ranger and a sixth hero. In the Power Rangers fandom, if a person has a morpher, then he is automatically considered a Ranger of sorts, either as a sixth hero or an extra hero, someone who shows up to help the Rangers. Mike fits that category as a sixth hero because he was on the team for most of the season after he got his powers and is in the opening credits as the sixth member. Mike even sacrificed himself once again near the end of the series to help save Terra Venture from the black hole, which was very noble, which he did survive, ultimately losing his powers. Because the original Magna Defender is forever a spirit, he can always restore Mike's powers. What do you think of Mike and the other six Rangers after Tommy you felt had a great storyline? I was a big fan of Mike as a Magna Defender. There was something really fascinating about the concept of Leo being his brother. Yeah, I always viewed him as the sixth member of the team. I never, not as like necessarily an extra hero, but I always looked at him as like the sixth Ranger. What about you, Stuart?
Yeah, I always looked at him as a sixth Ranger too, even if his power doesn't necessarily originate from the morphing grid. I still think, he fights alongside with the Rangers the same way other six Rangers have. And because like there wasn't actually a sixth Ranger in that show, I like to consider him a sixth Ranger personally.
Any other sixth Ranger that you felt had a good storyline?
A lot of them, actually. God, where do I begin? Like even though technically, I guess Ranger number 5, because there were only 3 Rangers to start. The White Ranger from Power Rangers Dino Fury, I thought had a great story, especially involving his dad. Man, you know what's funny? It's like a lot of the examples I'm thinking of come from teams of 3, where just like the 6 Ranger gets introduced later on. But yeah, and then I also really love the, of course, the Gold Ranger from Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury as well. I think that, yeah, he was an awesome character, and I loved how he had, you know, kind of like that long history with the Red Ranger. So yeah, I think those are my 2 answers for now. I'm sure there's many others, but if I were to list every great 6 Ranger and their storyline, we would be here for another like 2 hours.
Jessica Friedman, do you think Superman and Lois should have moved to Max so they've gotten more seasons and had a better budget? And when do you think season 5 of Harley Quinn will premiere?
Probably like March or something. But yeah, no, I would have loved Superman and Lois to have moved to Max like after season 3, because then you know, like the showrunners themselves said, they had plans for at least 7 seasons. So I would have loved to have seen what the show could have looked like if it kept going. Because I don't think, I could be wrong, because you know, I don't know James Gunn personally, so I don't know like what his like you know, mindset is currently with his Superman movie. But if I'm a betting man, I would assume James Gunn wouldn't have minded having the show continue on while his movie came out. You know, I think the show getting canceled was more than anything a CW decision, and James Gunn just simply chose not to renew it, you know, which he might have been able to do, but that's not his job. You know, his job is to create a new universe, not to renew shows that other people really like. So I you know, it would have been cool, but I don't blame, you know, Warner Brothers for not going forward with it. You know, it just, it just sucks that the show Superman and Lois came out at the worst time, like right when the CW was, you know, was going downhill because of streaming services, and so therefore they had to like sell all their assets. It sucks, because if that show came out just a few years earlier, I think it would have been really cool to see how fleshed out like everything could have been.
As far as season 5 of Harley Quinn goes, I know it was originally scheduled for before the end of 2024, but I just read somewhere that the showrunner believes it might, if anything, it might be January of 2025. So it might be right around the corner here. So expect it pretty soon, though. Let's see here. We also got The Most Talented Man in the World live action Static Shock update. Whatever happened to that live action Static Shock film produced by actor Michael B. Jordan? Is it still happening or put on hold indefinitely? If it were still happening, here's how I think it should be handled. A coming-of-age tale. The film could focus on Virgil Hawkins' journey from a regular teenager to a powerful superhero. Yes, I know, sounds too basic and generic. The story could delve into racial and social issues that Virgil faces in his neighborhood, reflecting the comic's themes of empowerment and social justice. A fresh and compelling villain could be introduced, such as a politician or a tax-heavy criminal who poses as a threat to the city. The film could hint at a larger Milestones universe, which I personally would love if that were to happen, introducing other characters like Rocket, Hardware, and Icon. Potential actors I think would fit the role even if they weren't well known to the public. Caleb McLaughlin, known for his role in Stranger Things. Yeah. McLaughlin has the right mix of youthful energy and acting talent to portray Virgil. Marseille Martin, a talented young actress. Martin could bring a unique perspective to the role of supporting characters like Frida Goyle. Lakeith Stanfield. Stanfield's versatility and charisma could make her a great choice for a complex villain role. Most people will remember him as Snoop Dogg in Straight Outta Compton biopic. To wrap up, Michael B. Jordan's involvement in his production company involved. The film has the potential to be visually stunning and socially conscious project. Jordan's passion for representation and storytelling could elevate the film to new heights. Ultimately, a successful Static Shock film would require a well-written script, strong direction, and talented cast. By focusing on character development, thrilling action, and social commentary, the film could become a cultural phenomenon. Only time will tell. Look, Most Talented Man in the World, I really agree with you. I have been asking for a Milestone universe to be tapped into for a really long period of time. You know, Matt Reeves right now is focusing on his Batman crime saga, And James Gunn has mentioned the idea that, look, we're not afraid to tell sort of Elseworld stories. It's just the idea that those Elseworld stories really have to be unique and powerful, and scripts almost even better than what we're doing here at DC Studios. And while I personally haven't heard anything in regards to Michael B. Jordan's Static Shock film that he was supposed to be producing, that is an avenue I really would like to see explored. I do think Static Shock would be a great opportunity to open up the Milestone universe. And I've been saying for a while, especially ever since remember a few years ago we had that announcement that Michael B. Jordan was going to be attached to a Superman project of some sort or another. There was always a part of me that thought to myself, like, I don't need him to be another Superman. Like, if Michael B. Jordan's going to do anything superhero-esque going next, I want him to play Icon. Like, I really want him to be like Milestone's universe of their Black Superman. And if he was going to produce something like Static Shock, I don't see why Michael B. Jordan couldn't get together a group of fantastic writers. Hell, team up with Ryan Coogler again, bro, and have him really tap into sort of the Milestone universe after he winds up wrapping up his work in the Black Panther world. I really would love to see a Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler sort of produced Milestone universe. I do think there's plenty of fantastic characters for them to explore, and it's just a lot of rich Black characters that just are not being utilized to their utmost expectation. And so if James Gunn is open for it and creating a Milestone universe, I think like an Elseworld side of things for a cinematic universe would be incredible, and starting off with Static Shock I think would be brilliant. So I'm right there with you, man. I truly am.
Honestly, I'd be down for just the Milestone universe to be merged within the DC universe, because they're already doing it with what was the name of the universe that the Authorities originated from? Because it wasn't DC originally, but it was something.
Was it Image? They come from Image Comics?
I don't think it was Image. I can't remember, but anyway, so. Because they started in a different universe. They weren't like originally owned by DC, but but then eventually like merged into.
Was
the
it
DC
Wildstorm? Wildstorm?
It might have been, yeah.
Wildstorm Comics, yeah.
Wildstorm Comics. So now that's kind of integrated into the DC universe, same way Milestone did. So I'd be cool if they just wanted to go that route too, just really make the universe like feel like the biggest cinematic universe out there.
I'd be down for that too. I'm still waiting for Wildcats to become a live action adaptation. They used to have a cartoon back in the day, if I'm not mistaken, too. Wildcats.
Oh wait, never mind. I'm thinking of a different character. But yeah, I'm definitely down for a Static Shock show. I know it won't happen because, when it comes to Power Ranger actors, it's rare that you see him make that jump to the big screen, especially with a big comic book character like Static Shock. But I still think the actor who played Devin from Beast Morphers would be perfect for the role as Virgil.
Oh, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Marcelino does point out there's a lot of legal issues behind the scenes. Milestone characters don't fall under DC editorial control. DC only retain the right not to any material they objected to. Milestone retains the copyright of their properties and gets the final say. So yeah, it looks like it might be some legal issues that they have to jump through hoops for. My friends call me Joseph. Some of the coldest scenes in the MCU that I found. One, Infinity War, Thanos' snap. This iconic moment where Thanos snaps his fingers and erases half of life in the universe is undeniably one of the coldest in the MCU. The sheer scale of devastation and emotional impact of the characters and the audience made it truly chilling scene. Yeah, when he snaps his fingers, I didn't know what was going to happen next. It was almost like, and it was like almost a rapture taking place in front of you. Like, that's had to be horrifying for so many people to watch. And I thought that they like confusion and horror all at the same time. Because it was, once they snapped, there was just a quietness, right? There was like no music. There was no wind blowing. Everything was just really still. And then you start seeing the effects kind of take place and you're like, oh, like this is incredible. So yeah, I would agree with that. He also says Captain America 2 or Captain America the Winter Soldier, the Hydra reveal. The revelation that Hydra has infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. from within is a shocking and chilling moment that fundamentally alters the MCU landscape. And then he says, Volume 3 of Guardians, the film delves deep into Rocket Raccoon's tragic backstory, revealing the cruel experiments he endured at the hands of the High Evolutionary. These scenes are particularly chilling, highlighting the harsh realities of animal testing and pain and suffering inflicted upon Rocket. What other cold scenes from the MCU films do you remember, and why?
Ooh, that is a good one.
One that kind of struck me the other day, and I find myself going back and rewatching this movie, is Avengers: Age of Ultron. Ultron revealing himself for the first time when everybody's sitting around the table having a good time, and all of a sudden this half disfigured Ultron robot comes out, and he starts introducing himself and explaining like who he is and what his purpose is on Earth, and the idea of like why he's got to kill the Avengers, that the humans just can't be trusted. Like just the revelation like coming to Tony Stark's face and Bruce Banner, like, oh, this is what we create. Like that alone, I thought was a pretty cold moment for sure. It gave me kind of a chilling moment for sure.
Ooh, I know. Aunt May's death in Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I wasn't expecting her to turn out to be the new Uncle Ben. Yeah.
I think what especially worked about it is the fact that she was walking it off for a minute, like it was just fine, which made me go, "Oh, really?" And then, like when she like suddenly started to feel faint, I'm like, "Oh no!" And then, like when she started to fall asleep, I'm like, "No."
Yeah, that was pretty good stuff. And lastly, Doomsday. I believe I got everybody's question. Let me just scroll through again. Yeah. Lastly, Doomsday. How would you rank all the dinosaur-themed Power Rangers seasons from worst to best?
Okay. Dino Thunder would be my favorite. Mighty Morphin would be right there underneath because it's, the original. You gotta give some praise to the original. And okay, so this is hard because like I think Dino Fury was solid as a whole, whereas Dino Charge had an incredible first season and then kind of lost me a little bit in season 2. So I guess because the ups in Dino Charge were really high, especially when it came to the comedy, like I still say Dino Charge is probably the funniest Power Ranger season for the first season. Dino Charge would be number 3, and then Dino Fury would be number 4.
Okay, so it pulls up Dino Fury, Dino Thunder, Dino Charge, and what's another one?
And Mighty Morphin.
Okay. Golly.
I know it's hard because like they actually all the dinosaur seasons are good.
Are really good, yeah. God damn. What was your order again, Stuart?
It was Dino Thunder number 1, Mighty Morphin number 2, Dino Charge number 3, and Dino Fury number 4.
Yeah, man, I'm actually gonna have to copy that one because first off, the one that jumps out to me is Dino Thunder for sure. And I was a really big fan of Dino Charge as well. And Mighty Morphin is such an OG for me. I would probably go Thunder. I'm gonna do it. Thunder, Charge, Mighty Morphin, Fury. I'm gonna do it that way. Yeah, I'll do that one.
Isn't that a Pokemon move? Thunder Charge!
Do you find it hilariously ironic that a majority of people love Time Force despite it being just a copy and paste of Time Ranger, but a majority of people hate Samurai Do It being a copy and paste of Shinkenger? To be fair, I don't think I've ever seen Time Ranger. So I think that's probably where my love for Time Force really comes from. I didn't even know it was really like a copy and paste. But majority of people hate Samurai Doing It being just a copy and paste of Shinkenger. Have you seen Time Ranger, Stuart?
Actually, I did watch the first like 5 or 6 episodes, and it's actually got very similar plot beats. In fact, the first episode, I want to say it's almost exactly like how it plays out in Time Force, if I remember correctly. Really? But I want to say that there is a reason for that. You see, Time Force or Time Ranger had quite a bit of influence from Western culture. Like they even do like the Matrix bullet time, in Time Force. So it definitely, was a good blend of the two. So adapting that, exact story into into Power Rangers was, it made sense. It felt real. It felt like it made so much sense. Samurai, or I don't remember what it was called in the Sentai version, but it was a very, very Japanese, centered storyline. A lot of it was, relevant to Japanese culture, even, the name itself, Power Ranger, or sorry, with it relating to the here it is, it's Shinkenger, right? It says there on the comment. So, very much, heavily inspired in Japanese culture. In fact, some people think it might be because they thought Power Rangers was canceled, so they didn't bother trying to dumb it down for a Western audience. That's what some people theorize about. So when they decided to translate it exactly, and then you have a whole team where there's only one character who's Asian, and they try to say that their ancestry goes back to the samurai, to the ancient samurai, it comes off as really, really weird a lot of times. And then just, I think that's kind of like the main thing. It's that you get like this, heavy Japanese influence culture, but like you only have one Power Ranger who's even Asian, and yet they constantly are trying to say that they are like, deep within like Japanese history. They have like a huge connection with that, and I think that was like one of the reasons people thought it, like, the translation came off as weird. And then the other thing too is that like, literally, because they did for Time Force do a lot of original writing within it, but for Shinkenger, from what I hear, one of the main writers was a translator.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, Marcelino even kind of brings that up a little bit here. He says, time travel is a universal concept, with samurai it's very Japanese heavy, but since Power Rangers didn't address the Japanese aspect, and characters feel like their own. So yeah, I definitely see that. So Rob gives his breakdown. He says Thunder, Fury, Charge, and Mighty Morphin would be his order.
Good order.
Appreciate you sharing that, man. And then lastly, how do you feel when watching the finale of Dino Thunder, especially the Kira song in the end, accompanied by the montage of moments throughout the show? Honestly, it made me tear up. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that was a pretty emotional sequence for me. I'm pretty sure I teared up when I watched that originally.
Man, it hasn't even been that long ago since I watched it last, but I can't quite remember. But I'm pretty sure it gave me chills, because most of the season itself just gave me a lot of chills.
I'm a sucker for a great montage followed with supported by a great song, and I really like the characters too, and just the journey that they had all kind of been on. It definitely made me emotional for sure.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for that, Doomsday, and everybody else that submitted questions over today. As always, again, we'll always post live viewer question posts for you guys Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening. Always keep an eye out, and feel free to submit questions over whenever you see it. Thank you for everybody that certainly participated here this week. But that will wrap it up for our live viewer question portion of the show.
Awesome.
We got a couple of big announcements before we wrap up here. First and foremost, I will say, actually, let me see. Can I pull these up here? For as far as content coming your guys' way this week, I am going to try and check out Wicked along with Gladiator 2 if I can before the holidays. Maybe I'll have see if I can put together some type of review for you guys. We also will be doing reviews for Creature Commandos, or at least I certainly will be. Creature Commandos begins December 5th. I went ahead and created an overlay for it already, so hopefully I'll be able to do some Creature Commandos reviews for you guys. And Stuart, if you ever want to join me for any of those episode reviews, you're certainly more than welcome to. I'm not sure. I think we've got 2 episodes that drop December 5th. I don't know what day that's going to be in off the top of my head, but we will be reviewing, at least regardless, Creature Commandos for you guys. And then, as well as the upcoming Skeleton Crew series, we will in fact be having the whole gang together once again. If anything, Skeleton Crew live every Wednesday. This is the same schedule we had last time, Stuart, just so you know. Live
Awesome.
every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Central Time. So that's Wednesday at 8. I don't know if that would work out for you, Stuart. Let me know if it does or doesn't. If anything, I can go ahead and switch things around and talk with the rest of the group. But as of right now, live review every Wednesday evening. So yeah, you'll definitely be expecting some new content from us here at the beginning of December. And I have to see what other shows are going to be dropping in November or dropping in December and early 2025. Maybe we'll have some more content for you guys also. But that's something to definitely look forward to going forward.
Definitely looking forward to Skeleton Crew. I'll definitely make sure that I can have Wednesday nights off so that way I can join you guys for the podcast because man, I loved reviewing Acolyte with you guys. So definitely gonna make sure I can do it for Skeleton Crew as well.
Yeah, we're definitely getting Crystal Kyber back along with Will Polk. I've notified them all already, so they're all on board and ready to go. So I'm excited. I got some overlays ready for us. So yeah, it should be same crew, new look, but definitely looking forward to breaking down some more Star Wars and Skeleton Crew with you guys. Outside of that, I think that should be everything that we have for you guys here this week. We will continue to post news throughout the week. If you're not following us on social media, especially check us out over on Facebook at A+ Opinions. That's where we drop all the news throughout the week, trailers, new images, posters. We even post some of the reels that we take clips from this week's show and we post them throughout the week for you guys. So definitely continue to join us over on the Facebook page. Stuart, if people want to find you on social media, man, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at Turbo201 over on Instagram. And then possibly in the future, I'm not saying it's going to happen for sure, I have been considering getting a what's the new Twitter called that everyone's getting now? Like Blue Sky. Yeah, I might get a Blue Sky later on, but I'll keep you guys posted on that if it does or doesn't happen.
Yeah, we are A+ Hero Report is currently on Blue Sky right now. If you guys do have Blue Sky, want to go ahead and certainly follow us. We are at I believe it's just at Hero Report. Let me double check for you guys. So yeah, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but at Hero Report, it's a little fuzzy, but we are on Blue Sky currently at heroreport.bsky.social. So you can go ahead and join us over on Blue Sky as well, just to add to the countless social media accounts that we have. We're also over on TikTok at Hero Report as well. Certainly join us there. But yeah, guys, follow us everywhere on social media. But that will do it for us here today at A+ Hero Report. We'll certainly see you guys next Sunday. But in the meantime, do us a big favor, as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.